Chapter 249. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Looking at the poisonous fog in Pallas's hand, Yu Howren's expression did not change at all. However, he could not help but guess in his heart. He was guessing what kind of creature the poison originated from, and why it was so afraid of others seeing its appearance. If Yu Howren used his footwork technique to hasten the journey of 3,000 kilometers, he would need about a day to reach it. However, with Pallas leading the way, they only spent about 10 minutes and arrived at a group of volcanoes that were constantly erupting flames and lava. The earth core fire that could be used to refine elixirs was on the third volcano. Therefore, Pallas led Yu Howren directly to the bottom of the third volcano. Feeling the abnormal high temperature around the volcano, Yu Howren could not help but have a guess. As for whether his guess was correct, he would need to check it out alone after ending the conflict with the rank 5 upper spiritual vein and the enchanted beast. Brother Yu this way. Although he had been here a few times in the past, he had only come to collect flame crystals each time. He had already forgotten about the cave entrance to the earth core fire. Moreover, this group of volcanoes frequently exploded and the surrounding environment had long changed. Therefore, after searching for a long time, Pallas finally found the cave entrance that led to the earth core fire. Following Pallas into the cave entrance, Yu Howren could clearly feel that the temperature in the cave entrance was more than 10 degrees higher than the temperature outside. Furthermore, the deeper they went into the cave, the higher the temperature. Luckily, his physical body had broken through to the complete Grade 10 realm and reached the perfect state. Not only did it strengthen his defense, but it also strengthened his resistance to high temperatures. Brother Yu, this is a flame crystal. It is a type of crystal that is unique to this group of volcanoes. It contains extremely pure fire-based energy. If your friends have a fire-based body constitution, they can use the flame crystal to cultivate. Not only can they raise their cultivation base faster, but they can also raise the attribute of their Yuan power and increase the power of their Yuan power attacks. About 100 meters deep into the cave, on the walls on both sides of the cave, dark red, crystal-like stones emitting scorching auras began to appear one after another. Seeing that Yu Howren's attention was attracted by the crystal stones on the wall, Pallas took the initiative to explain. Thank you. Brother Chi, two of my senior brothers, and one of my junior brothers happen to have a fire-attributed body constitution. These blaze crystals are very important to them. Yu Howren's experience was not inferior to that of a martial honor. How could he not know the use of the flame crystal? However, he did not show it. Instead, he pretended to be very excited and thanked the Scarlet Loath. Not for anything else, but to deepen the friendship between them. Yu Howren reached out and plucked a blaze crystal. After carefully sensing the energy within the blaze crystal, Yu Howren realized that this blaze crystal could only be considered a substandard blaze crystal. If the flame crystal in his hand were to be categorized with the grades of spirit stones, the flame crystal in his hand would belong to the first grade of the 10th grade, which was the lowest grade among the flame crystals. However, Yu Howren did not throw away the blaze crystal in his hand just because it was of a low grade and contained little energy. Seeing Yu Howren put away the blaze crystal, the red redwood boar suddenly increased its speed and helped him collect the blaze crystals. Seeing that the red redwood boar had started to move, Pallas was embarrassed to stay idle. He also helped to collect the blaze crystals. When they appeared in the center of the volcano, there was a bubbling lava. They had collected over 1,000 blaze crystals. Among them, the majority were blaze crystal from the first grade to the 3rd grade of the 10th grade. There were over 600 of them. There were over 300 blaze crystals from the 4th grade to the 6th grade of the 10th grade. There were less than 100 blaze crystals from the 7th grade to the 9th grade of the 10th grade. As for the blaze crystals from the 9th grade and above, there was not a single one. Looking at the bubbling lava before him, Yu Howren quickly looked for a suitable place to place the elixir furnace. In the end, he chose a huge rock with a diameter of about 30 meters in the center of the lava. He used his movement technique to jump onto the rock. Then, he used his feet to stomp on the rock. He realized that the rock was just as he had guessed. The bottom of the rock reached the bottom of the volcano. It was the most suitable place to draw out the earth core fire. Then he took out a elixir furnace from his storage ring and placed it on the rock. He then took out 5 drops of the source of poison and 36 supplementary herbs. He bent his knees and sat cross-legged on the rock. Then, with the help of his dantian fire, he started to guide the earth core fire that was hidden at the bottom of the volcano. Originally, after passing through the cave, he had already reached the bottom of the volcano and was very close to the earth core fire. Now, under the guidance of the dantian fire, in just 3 minutes, a flame that emitted an extremely high temperature, causing the red redwood boar to take a few steps back involuntarily, appeared in the elixir furnace. Seeing that he had successfully guided the earth core fire into the elixir furnace, Howard nodded to himself. Then he took out a few 7th grade spirit stones. With the help of the spirit stone's spirit energy, he recovered his origin power while calming his chi and concentrating his mind to adjust his condition. Brother Poison's source. 10 minutes later, when the origin power in his dantian had reached its peak and his mind was as calm as water, Howard suddenly opened his eyes and reminded the poison source in the poisonous fog. Then he pressed his left hand on the elixir furnace and used his origin power to drive the earth core fire, increasing its power. When the earth core fire's temperature reached a certain level, Howard directly placed 5 drops of the source of poison source into the elixir furnace. Brother Poison Source as the source of 10,000 poisons. Although the source of poison source is the most suitable main ingredient for refining poison pills, because it is the source of 10,000 poisons, the toxicity it contains is too strong. It is very difficult to fuse it with other medicinal ingredients. Therefore, if you want to use the source of poison source as the main ingredient to refine powerful poison pills, you must eliminate its toxicity through a refining method. Howard explained in detail as he extracted the toxins and impurities from the source of poison source. Brother then to what extent must you refine the source of poison source so that it can perfectly fuse with other supplementary medicinal ingredients? The poison source's excited voice came from within the poisonous fog. With the poison source's understanding of the toxicity of poison, it would be difficult for him to understand in a short period of time. Therefore, Howard simply took out another drop of the source of poison source and started refining it together. After refining for more than 10 minutes, the source of poison source, which was originally slightly turbid, became crystal clear and liquefied like a crystal. Moreover, 5 drops of the source of poison source had completely fused together and condensed into a cherry-sized drop of transparent liquid. As for the other transparent drop of the source of poison source, Howard directly threw it into the poisonous fog. Then, he began refining the 36 supplementary medicinal ingredients. Compared to the careful refining process of the source of poison source, the refining process of the 36 supplementary medicinal ingredients was much faster. Using the earth core fire and dantian flame, it took less than 10 minutes for the 36 supplementary medicinal ingredients to be completely liquefied. Then, he began to guide the poison of the 36 supplementary medicinal ingredients to fuse with the poison of the source of poison source. Chapter 250. Inside the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Brother Du Yuan, there are 3 very important steps in refining the poison pill. The first step is to refine the source of the poison. The quality of the source of the poison determines whether or not it can be fused with other supplementary herbs. The second step is to solidify the poison. The degree of solidification of the poison determines whether or not the pill can be formed. The third step is to form the core. The process of forming the core determines the quality of the final pill. Next, carefully observe my hand seals. This is the second important step in refining the pill. After instructing Du Yuan, Howard moved the Yuan power in his dantian to his fingers as he moved his 10 fingers up and down. Every time his 10 fingers moved, a faint imprint would leave his fingers, an imprint on the poison in the cauldron. Every time an imprint was imprinted on the poison in the cauldron, the fist-sized poison would shrink and show a solidified shape. After a total of 9 seals, the fist-sized liquid finally condensed into a pill the size of an apricot. However, Not only was the pill dull in color, its solidification was also not firm. There was a possibility of it separating and exploding at any time. Brother Du Yuan, the next step is the third important step in refining the pill. It is also the most important step, which is to form the core. Both of his hands continued to rapidly form seals. However, every imprint that he formed did not imprint on the pill, but instead wandered around the pill. Similarly, he formed the seals 9 times. When a 9th imprint was formed, and under his roar of forming the core, the 9th imprint combined with the other 8 imprints and imprinted on the pill at the same time. When the 9 imprints were imprinted on the pill, the cauldron was also closed at the same time. After that, the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth frantically poured into the cauldron. The pill is formed. When the sound of violent impact came from the cauldron, Yu Haoran fiercely slapped the cauldron. A sparkling and translucent pill the size of a longan floated in the air. He reached out his hand, and the longan pill appeared in his hand. At the same time, Yu Haoran hurriedly cut off the connection between the cauldron and the earth core fire and quickly put away the cauldron. Reaching the first grade of the 8th level is beyond my expectations. Carefully observing the pill in his hand, Yu Haoran found that the poisonous pill he had just refined was actually a grade 1 of the 8th rank, far better than the grade 9 of the 9th rank that he had estimated at the beginning. Just from this point alone, it could be seen that not only did his comprehension of the Tao of poison in his previous life not fall behind in the slightest, but it had also unknowingly improved. Brother Yu, can I take a look at the pills? When Yu Haoran took out the pill bottle and was about to put away the pills, Du Yuan's voice came from within the poisonous fog. All right. Nodding, Zhang Xin tossed the pill into the poisonous fog. Good pill. It is indeed a good pill. The poison contained in this pill would kill any living being in the entire Blue Moon secret realm, except for Big Brother Qi. Just 5 seconds later, the poison source's praise came from within the poison fog. Brother Du Yuan, let me have a look. Palace couldn't help but ask after hearing Du Yuan's evaluation. Here, the pill that had been tossed into the poisonous fog earlier appeared in Palace's hand. Amazing. Unless I activate all 3 of my bloodlines, it would be difficult for me to resist the poison of this pill in my current state. After praising it, Palace asked as he tossed the pill to Yu Haoran. Brother Yu, may I know what this pill is called? Spirit slaughtering. Yu Haoran replied indifferently as he kept the pill into the pill bottle. However, the 2 words spirit slaughtering caused the expressions of the 3 beasts to change. However, Palace's expression quickly returned to normal, and he thought of a crucial problem. Although the spirit-slaughtering pill's poison was very strong and could even threaten a peak martial emperor, the prerequisite was that the other party had to consume it. If the other party didn't consume the poison pill, then what was the use of a strong poison? Brother Yu, I wonder if I could take the liberty to ask how to use this pill. Hearing Palace's question, Yu Haoran couldn't help but frown. This was because the method of using the spirit-slaughtering pill would determine whether he could get rid of the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse. However, considering that Palace had been helping him all this while, and had even gone to cause trouble for the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse and the enchanted beast when he was ambushed, he finally decided to reveal the method of using the spirit-slaughtering pill. 2 methods, Yu Haoran said as he extended a finger. The first method is to let the other party consume it directly. It only takes 3 seconds, and the other party will definitely die. Yu Haoran continued as he extended a second finger. The second method is to use Yuan Qi to shatter the pill, and then expand it in the form of pill mist and pill rain. Although this method will weaken the poison of the pill, it can poison a large area to death. Brother Yu, it seems like you want to use the second method to deal with the spiritual pulse. After hearing Yu Haoran's explanation of the 2 methods of using the spirit-slaughtering pill, Palace immediately knew what he was planning. Yu Haoran only laughed lightly. He didn't agree or disagree. However, while one shouldn't have the heart to harm others, one should always have the heart to guard against others. When he was explaining the method of using the spirit-slaughtering pill, Howard actually held back. That was that there was a third method of using the spirit-slaughtering pill, and it was the method that could unleash the strongest power of the spirit-slaughtering pill. However, that method was too powerful and could easily cause great suffering. Unless there was no other choice, he didn't plan on using that method. Although he didn't get Howard's confirmation, Pallas could already guess what he was thinking. Brother there's something I don't know if I should say. Thinking about how he had just gotten used to the spiritual pulse's body and the wounds that would be difficult to heal in a short period of time, Pallas suddenly felt like he was an accomplice to Howard's spirit-slaughtering pill. Therefore, after much consideration, he felt that he should give the spiritual pulse a way out. Brother Chi, I know what you mean, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. Pallas's personality was of the wood attribute, and he was naturally kind. Therefore, Howard could guess what Pallas wanted to say, even if he didn't say it out loud. However, ever since the sneak attack outside the dense forest with the upper-level 5 spirit meridian, they had already formed an irreconcilable hatred. Furthermore, in order to defeat the upper-level 5 spirit meridian, not only did he give up all of his zone realm weapons, but he also overdrew his potential for the second time. Even his mind was severely injured. If it wasn't for the fact that the Thaling knew how to use vitality to heal, at this moment, he might not even be able to stand up, let alone refine pills. Therefore, how could the vengeful Howard be willing to let go of the upper level 5 spirit meridian? Sigh. Pallas couldn't help but sigh at Howard's firm refusal. Chapter 251. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm, at the heart of the volcano. Brother Chi, now that the massacre spirit pill has been successfully refined, I would like to return to the Red Rocks to rest for a while. Tomorrow morning, I'll settle the grudge between me and the enchanted beast. So, I'll have to trouble Brother Chi to send me back now, all right? Pallas's earlier request on behalf of the spirit source and the enchanted beast made Howard realize a very serious problem. The enchanted beast, who was proficient in the art of enchantment, could also use the art of enchantment to make living creatures have a favorable impression of it, in addition to controlling their minds. Howard believed that Pallas, who had inherited the bloodlines of 3 divine beasts, wouldn't be affected by the enchanted beast. Du Yuan, who never left the poison source, wouldn't be affected. However, the other exotic beasts in the secret realm, especially those who were restricted by the secret realm's rules, might still be at the 9th rank, but their true strength had reached the 7th and 6th rank. Wouldn't they be affected? If 1 or 2 exotic beasts with strength above the zone realm appeared while he was fighting the spirit source and the enchanted beast, it was very likely that his plan would fail. As such, Howard suppressed his impatient thoughts of revenge and planned to return to the Red Rocks first. Then, under the cover of Thaling's spiritual sense, he would prepare a safer plan. All right, hearing that Howard planned to look for the spirit source and the enchanted beast tomorrow, Pallas thought that Howard didn't want to put him in a difficult position and was purposely delaying the time for revenge. This made Pallas, who originally wanted to ease the conflict between them, give up on the idea of continuing to persuade him. Afterwards, he brought Howard, the red redwood boar, and Du Yuan back to the Red Rocks. After entering the Red Rocks and passing by the rocks, Howard suddenly suggested, Brother Chi, please place me in the rocks. Brother after I've made arrangements for Brother Du Yuan, I'll enter the spirit cave in the depths of the secret realm to cultivate in seclusion. After placing Howard and the red redwood boar on the rocks, Pallas suddenly said, 3 days later, I will return to the poison fog. If Brother has any problems, you can come to the poison fog to find me. Glancing at Pallas, Howard bowed and apologized sincerely. Brother Chi, I'm very sorry. With a wave of his hand, Pallas flew towards the poisonous fog with the poison source. Thaling, now I really hope that Pallas's personality can be that of a fire attribute Jian. Howard sighed inexplicably as he watched Pallas's lonely back. That's right, Thaling agreed. Howard took a deep breath and adjusted his complicated emotions. He bent his knees and sat cross-legged on the rock. He then took out a portion of the medicinal pills that could increase one's cultivation and strength from his storage ring and gave them to the red redwood boar. Brother boar, these medicinal pills are suitable for us human cultivators, but they are also suitable for you strange beasts to increase cultivation and strength. Rue, the red redwood boar, snorted a few times and didn't stand on ceremony with you, Howren, directly swallowing the medicinal pills, because it knew that there was going to be a great battle, a decisive battle of life and death. Its chances of victory would be greater if it increased its strength now. When the red redwood boar went to the other side of the rock to refine the medicinal pills, Howren sat cross-legged on the rock. He didn't use the medicinal pills to increase his strength, nor did he immediately prepare a second plan. He's left. Only when Thaling's voice came from his sea of consciousness did Howren open his eyes. After opening his eyes, Howren instructed Thaling. Thaling, help me set up a concealment formation. Okay. Thaling, who could use the power of divine sense, quickly set up the concealment formation. Then, Howren took out the pill furnace he used to refine the massacre spirit pill. Originally, the pill furnace was quiet in the storage ring, but after being taken out, it immediately went on a rampage. Regarding this, Howren didn't look the least bit surprised. Then, he mobilized the Danteon fire and poured it into the pill furnace. Then he pressed both hands on the pill furnace and shouted. Pills formed. Then, 8 identical massacre spirit pills shot out from the pill furnace. 9 seals, 9 pills formed. This was the law of the Tao of alchemy. Back then, on the rock in the center of the volcano, Howren had suppressed the pill furnace and only shot out 1 massacre spirit pill. He had hidden his own selfish motives. After all, not only was the massacre spirit pill poisonous, but it was also suitable for large-scale use. He was worried that if he lost the massacre spirit pill and someone with ulterior motives got it, it would cause more casualties. Of course, the life and death of others had nothing to do with him. He was worried that if the person who got the massacre spirit pill used the poisonous pill on himself or his family, it would be his fault. Moreover, although the strength of the upper-level 5 spiritual pulse couldn't be compared with Palace's, his body was too big. Howren was worried that 1 or 2 massacre spirit pills wouldn't be enough to kill him. Therefore, he planned to use the 9 massacre spirit pills directly if the situation went wrong. Howren put away the 8 slaughter spirit pills that were shot out from the furnace and took out 16 spirit herbs from his storage ear. Among the 16 spiritual herbs, 8 of them could be used to increase one's cultivation and strength, while the other 8 were extremely poisonous. Then, he mobilized the Danteon fire and began to refine the 16 spiritual herbs. On a mountain peak that was designated as a safe zone by the sect, Zhou Mingyao, who is holding the black birth ball, looks at her fellow disciples and sisters who are captured by the beasts one after another. Her face turns pale. She didn't expect this. Lin Mingyao never thought that Zhao Zong not only coveted her beauty, but also wanted to kill all the disciples in the secret territory. The only thing she didn't understand was how Zhao Zong, who is only a 7th grade martial warrior, was able to control the beasts in the secret territory and make them willingly listen to his orders. Junior martial sister Lin, surrender. Deliberately keeping a safe distance from Lin Mingyao, Zhao Zong said proudly. He also signaled the beasts to block in front of him. Zhao Zong, aren't you afraid of being punished by the sect? After calculating the distance between them and the power of the explosion of the black birth ball, Lin Mingyao found that her trump card was no longer a threat to Zhao Zong. However, she also knew that Zhao Zong didn't dare to act rashly. After all, he wanted her person, not a cold corpse. Therefore, Zhou Mingyao holds the black birth ball tightly and asks calmly for the time being. Haha. Facing Lin Mingyao's threat, Zhao Zong couldn't help but laugh wildly. Junior sister Lin, there are countless spiritual stones, spiritual herbs, spiritual flowers, and spiritual fruits in the Blue Moon secret territory. Wait until I finish the task given by that lord. All the treasures in the secret territory will belong to me. Chapter 252. In the Blue Moon Secret Realm, on a mountain peak in the safe zone. Zhao Zong, even if all the resources in the Blue Moon Secret Realm belong to you alone, don't forget that the Blue Moon Secret Realm is only open for a limited time. When the Blue Moon Secret Realm closes, all the disciples who are training in the Secret Realm, as long as they are still alive, can only be sent back to the valley at the entrance of the Secret Realm. Don't tell me you think you can escape the interrogation of the experts from the 4 sects in the valley. After all, our vice sect leader Zhong is a martial emperor expert. If he wants to know what happened in the Secret Realm, he only needs to move his finger on your head. Lin Mingyao mocked Zhao Zong's incomparably arrogant attitude. Of course, the contemptuous ridicule was only a method. Lin Mingyao wanted to use this method to find out who the expert behind Zhao Zong was, what kind of heaven-defying methods he had, and the purpose of capturing them alive. Hearing Lin Mingyao's contemptuous ridicule, Zhao Zong once again laughed wildly. That's right, Vice Sect Leader Zhong is a martial emperor expert. But so what? The moment the Blue Moon Secret Realm closes, with that Lord's strength, he can directly send me out of the Secret Realm from another direction. At that time, who would know that I, Zhao Zong, am still alive and that I have countless cultivation resources in the Blue Moon Secret Realm? Zhao Zong, even if you can escape the attention of the experts from the sects alive, how many treasures can you take away from the Secret Realm? Lin Mingyao suddenly had a bad feeling, especially about the person who had already entered the depths of the Secret Realm. Therefore, she continued to fish for information. Junior Sister Lin, have you forgotten that among the disciples who are training in the Secret Realm, there's a person who has a large storage device that can store the entire Law Enforcement Peak's treasure vault? As long as that lord is able to capture Yu Haoran alive, I will have a way to obtain his storage device. At that time, I will be able to take away most of the precious treasures in the Secret Realm. With the help of the vast resources in the Blue Moon Mystery Realm, I will definitely be able to break through to the Martial Royal Realm in, at most, 10 years. When that time comes, I will definitely return to the sect in glory. Junior Sister Lin, do you think the experts of the sect will continue to make things difficult for me? Do you think they will dare to mention the tragedy that happened in the Blue Moon Secret Realm 10 years ago? Hearing Zhao Zong's crazy plan, Lin Mingyao didn't feel the slightest bit of fear. Instead, she couldn't help but feel relieved. The meaning of Zhao Zong's words was very clear. The expert behind him still hadn't captured Yu Haoran. Thinking of Yu Haoran's various unexpected performances and thinking of Yu Haoran's calmness in the face of any trouble, Lin Mingyao had a feeling that among the disciples who were training in the Blue Moon Secret Realm, only Yu Haoran had the ability to destroy the scheme of the expert behind Zhao Zong. However, the premise was that Yu Haoran had to know about Zhao Zong's scheme and the expert behind him in advance. Therefore, Lin Mingyao held the black birth ball tightly as she turned around and walked down the mountain. Seeing Lin Mingyao walking down the mountain, Zhao Zong's face instantly turned gloomy as he questioned, Junior Sister Lin, what are you doing? Nothing, I just broke through to a new realm. I plan to train around and consolidate the realm that I just broke through. Shaking the black birth ball in her hand, Lin Mingyao said with a smile. As long as Zhao Zong still wanted to get her, then she would be safe with the black birth ball in her hand. This was Lin Mingyao's only trump card. However, Zhao Zong, who was originally gloomy because she suddenly left the mountain, suddenly had an inexplicable smile on his face. After seeing the inexplicable smile on Zhao Zong's face, Lin Mingyao found that a strange idea suddenly emerged in her heart. Not only was Zhao Zong handsome and elegant, but he also had countless treasures in the Secret Realm. If she could become his woman, not only would she be able to enjoy the countless treasures in the Secret Realm, but she would also become a female expert whose name would shake the Tianxian continent in the future. No. How could she have such a shameless idea? Shaking her head with all her strength, Lin Mingyao forcibly expelled the strange idea that had just emerged in her heart. She turned around and planned to leave the mountain and leave Zhao Zong, who was becoming more and more strange. However, just as she was about to leave the mountain, the voice that she had been waiting for suddenly came from behind her. Junior Sister Lin, I am Yu Haoran. Yu Shixiang, why are you here? Turning her head and seeing the young man standing in the middle of the strange beast was the person she had been thinking about recently. Lin Mingyao was surprised, and her face instantly turned red. Then she thought of Zhao Zong and the scheme of the expert behind Zhao Zong, and quickly said to Yu Haoran, Yu Shixiang, quickly think of a way to hide. Because the entire Blue Moon secret realm has been controlled by the expert behind Zhao Zong. Although I don't know what he wants to do by capturing us disciples alive, according to Zhao Zong's sinister and cunning character, it's definitely not something good. Damn it! Hearing Lin Mingyao not only call out Yu Haoran's name, but her face also blushed like a young girl, and she even directly belittled him. Zhao Zong immediately burned with anger. At this moment, he hated Lin Mingyao for falling in love with someone else, but he hated Yu Haoran even more for snatching away his love. Just as Zhao Zong was unable to control the anger in his heart, causing a thick killing intent to rise from his body, a baby-like cry instantly calmed him down. Then, he took a deep breath and said to Lin Mingyao in a gentle tone, Junior sister Lin, you're safe now. You can put away the blackbirth ball first. Okay. Gently nodding, Lin Mingyao obediently put away the blackbirth ball. Just as Lin Mingyao put away the blackbirth ball, Zhao Zong appeared in front of her in a flash and reached out his hand to directly hit her sleep acupuncture point. When Lin Mingyao fainted, he took advantage of the situation and hugged Lin Mingyao. Not only did he directly put away the blackbirth ball, but he also stared at the two peaks in front of her chest with lust. But just as Zhao Zong wanted to take the next step, a baby-like cry suddenly sounded in his ears. Moreover, not only did the cry last longer this time, the sound was even sharper, causing Zhao Zong to hold his head and howl. Sir, I don't dare anymore. Please have mercy. While holding his head and screaming, Zhao Zong bitterly begged for mercy. After a full 3 minutes of screaming, the baby-like cry in his ears finally stopped. When the pain in his mind subsided a little, Zhao Zong directly threw the blackbirth ball that he just put away towards a thick tree in the mountain peak. Just as the blackbirth ball touched the tree, it suddenly disappeared. Chapter 253. In the depths of the Blue Moon secret realm, inside the upper rank 5 spiritual vein, Palace, who had just left the Red Rocks, was suddenly stopped by the enchanted beast's cry when he was flying above the upper rank 5 spiritual vein. He was then invited into the spiritual vein by the enchanted beast. Mihun, what do you mean by this? Palace could not help but frown at the enchanted beast's request. In the face of the Scarlet Low's questioning, the enchanting beast quickly explained, Mihun, it's not troublesome for me to remove the rules of the secret realm around the spiritual vein. However, if I do this, I'll be indirectly interfering with the conflict between you and Brother Yu. This goes against my decision of not helping either side. Palace shook his head and rejected the enchanted beast's request to temporarily remove a part of the rules of the secret realm. The enchanted beast was not in a hurry to accept Palace's rejection. It only cried out and asked for something. Mihun, do you really intend to use the favor I owe you in exchange for the removal of the rules of the secret realm? Palace asked with a gloomy face when he heard the enchanted beast's request. A very short cry was enough to express the enchanted beast's attitude. Good, very good, very good. Palace nodded heavily and stared at the enchanted beast. He sneered and said to the enchanted beast as if he was talking to a stranger, Mihun, in the spiritual vein, listen up. You and I have known each other for hundreds of years. From today onwards, I'll cut all ties with you. You and I will be strangers from now on. From today onwards, no matter what kind of trouble you encounter in the future, even if you're being chased, don't come looking for me, Palace. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning against you. After leaving behind an angry threat, Palace flew into the sky and punched the void above his head. When the fist energy formed by the fist tore through the void, an emotionless ice slowly condensed above Palace's head. Rule, based on the radius of 1,000 miles of the spirit vein here, temporarily removed the restriction of the two heavens' rule on the realm and strength. Pallas ordered coldly, like an emotionless pair of eyes, glancing at the location of the spirit vein, and then at Pallas, whose eyes were gradually turning red. The eye formed by the rules in the air blinked at the spirit vein. Then, the mystic realm's rule power that was sealed around the spirit vein was retracted by the eyes formed by the rule power. Thanks. The scarlet loath cupped its fists and thanked the eyes formed by the loss. It then lowered its head and glanced at the ecstasy beast before glancing at the spiritual source hidden in the depths of the spiritual vein. Spirit origin, soul enchantment. As the saying goes, you are too smart for your own good. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Then, Pallas flew directly to the spirit vein in the deepest part of the mystic realm. In the face of Pallas's final threat, the adorable enchanted beast's expression did not change at all. It raised its head and cried at the depths of the spirit vein. A minute later, a long crack suddenly appeared in the middle of the spirit vein. Then, 200 exotic beasts of different races appeared on the spirit vein through the crack. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that these 200 exotic beasts of different races were not only ninth-rank exotic beasts of different races, but each of them also had an aura that surpassed ninth-rank exotic beasts of the ninth rank. When the 209th rank exotic beasts of the ninth rank exotic beasts were a certain distance away from each other, the enchanted beast cried at them. Along with the enchanted beast's cry, the 200 exotic beasts in the spirit vein all looked excited. Then, a gale wolf, known as the jungle killer, took the lead and started to absorb spiritual energy in a large area. When the amount of spiritual energy it absorbed reached a certain limit, the gale wolf, who was only 3 meters tall, instantly grew to 4 meters in size. Not only did it rise from 9th rank exotic beast of the 9th rank to 9th rank exotic beast of the 8th rank, but its aura also rose to the 1st rank of the 7th rank. Seeing that the gale wolf had successfully broken through the restrictions of the mystic technique, rising from 9th rank exotic beasts of the 9th rank to 9th rank exotic beasts of the 8th rank, and reaching the 1st rank of the 7th rank, the other 199 exotic beasts immediately started to absorb spiritual energy crazily to break through the restrictions of their own ranks. Although the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the spirit vein was dense enough, when 199 gifted exotic beasts broke through at the same time, the demand for spiritual energy had reached a terrifying state. Seeing that many exotic beasts with less talent were unable to break through due to the rapid decrease in spiritual energy, the enchanted beast cried at the depths of the spirit vein. After a full 5 minutes, more cracks appeared on the spirit vein, and millions or even tens of millions of spiritual stones flew out from the cracks. The spiritual stones that flew into the air exploded automatically, and countless spiritual energy poured down like a storm, washing over the exotic beasts below. The exotic beasts that had been unable to break through due to the lack of spiritual energy also began to break through. When all 200 exotic beasts had broken through the restrictions of 9th rank exotic beasts of the 9th rank, an even bigger crack appeared on the spirit vein, allowing these exotic beasts to return to the spirit vein after breaking through. Floating above the spirit vein, the enchanted beast looked at the periphery of the secret realm toward the red rocks. A proud smile appeared on its cute face. Inside the red rocks, since his physical body and cultivation strength had reached the limit, it was unrealistic to continue to increase his strength in a short period of time. If he wanted to increase his chances of winning the battle against the enchanted beast of the upper rank exotic beast of the 5th rank, he could only do it in other ways. Therefore, combining his own characteristics and Thaling's suggestion, Yuhauran finally prepared 3 methods. The first method was to use the source of poison and 28 poisonous herbs to refine 3 black birth balls that were powerful enough to kill a 9th rank martial king. The second method was to use Thaling's spiritual sense and 6 special spiritual herbs to refine 2 drops of elixir that could increase his speed in a short period of time. Since there was no earth core fire to increase the temperature, it could not be condensed into a pill, so it could only be refined into elixir for the time being. The 2 drops of elixir were used to help him and the redwood boar escape in case of an accident. The third method was to use the diamond monkey's blood essence in his meridians and 36 different spiritual herbs to refine a drop of elixir that could increase his strength in a short period of time. These 3 methods were basically all the methods he could use in the Blue Moon Secret Realm. After the 3 methods were completely prepared, there was less than an hour before the appointed time for the battle. Chapter 254. Don't leave. It's past 10. There's still one more chapter. Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Inside the upper tier. 5 Spirit Vein. Die. Using the soaring fist of the basic fist technique, Howard directly killed a blue silk snake that had reached the 9th rank of the 9th rank and had a strength that barely reached the 1st rank of the 8th rank. Howard raised his head and looked ahead. An hour ago, he and the redwood boar had returned to the Spirit Vein. Although they had been shouting at the entrance of the Spirit Vein for a while, there was no response from the upper tier, 5 Spirit Vein, and the enchanted beast. Helpless, he could only take the risk and enter the Spirit Vein. After an hour, he had entered about 600 li into the Spirit Vein. Other than encountering a few ordinary tier, 9 ninth grade exotic beasts, he didn't encounter any obstacles. He couldn't help but suspect that the upper tier, 5 Spirit Vein, and the enchanted beast were planning to have their final battle in the depths of the Spirit Vein in order to gain a geographical advantage. Brother Boar, sorry to trouble you, Howard said politely as he jumped onto the back of the redwood boar. If the upper tier, 5 Spirit Vein, and the enchanted beast wanted to have their final battle in the depths of the Spirit Vein, they only needed to go deeper into the Spirit Vein. Therefore, Howard planned to use the speed of the redwood boar to rush to the depths of the Spirit Vein as soon as possible. Indicating to Howard that he didn't need to be polite, the redwood boar strode forward with its 4 short legs and went deeper into the Spirit Vein as fast as the wind. After 100 li, they didn't encounter any attacks, only 2 ordinary exotic beasts. After 300 li, not only did they not encounter any attacks, they didn't even encounter any exotic beasts. After 500 li, they still didn't encounter any attacks, and similarly, they didn't encounter any obstacles from exotic beasts. However, after 1,000 li into the Spirit Vein, Howard couldn't help but frown. He patted the redwood boar's back, indicating for it to stop temporarily. This was because he saw a human cultivator who had been shaved into a wooden stick and nailed to the tree trunk on the west side of the Spirit Vein. Through the other party's clothes, Howard knew that this person was an ordinary disciple from the Heart Moon sect. When he was 10 meters away from the Heart Moon sect disciple, Howard could vaguely feel that the disciple was still breathing, which meant that he was still alive. However, Howard did not rush forward to save him. He didn't know if the enchanted beast had done anything to this person, and he didn't want any accidents to happen before the final battle. Howard, 300 meters ahead, there are 2 disciples nailed to a tree. One of them is a disciple from the 100 Chi Gate. Just as Howard was considering whether or not to go forward and save him, Thaling's voice sounded in his mind. It was unknown whether it was because of the upper grade rank 5 Spirit Vein or the enchanted beast, but the rules of the secret realm within the range of the Spirit Vein were weakened to a certain extent, allowing Thaling to use his divine telekinesis. Therefore, after hearing Thaling's reminder, Howard did not wonder how he found out in advance. He then quickly used his movement technique and rushed forward 300 meters. After seeing the 2 disciples nailed to the 2 tree trunks on both sides, Howard suddenly thought of a terrifying thing, and his face instantly turned gloomy. Thaling, use your divine telekinesis to the limit and help me check in the widest range. See if there are any disciples nailed to the tree trunks every 300 meters. Howard instructed in a serious tone. Okay. Thaling responded and began to spread his divine telekinesis. When he saw that there was an additional disciple nailed to the tree trunks every 300 meters, his face turned gloomy as well. However, when his divine telekinesis exceeded 1,000 meters, a hint of surprise appeared on his gloomy face. 2 days ago, he had come to the spiritual vein with Howren. At that time, his divine telekinesis could only extend to 1,000 meters. Now, his divine telekinesis could extend to more than 1,000 meters. This situation could only mean one thing, and that was that the rules of the mystery realm in the spiritual vein had been weakened by a part. As for the extent of the weakening, it would depend on how far his divine telekinesis could extend. When his divine telekinesis finally extended to 30,000 meters and exceeded the 1,000-meter area that the spiritual vein occupied, Thaling's face could no longer be described as gloomy. It could be said that he was extremely upset. After his second encounter with Pallas, Thaling could basically tell that the reason why the red rocks could offset a part of the rules of the mystery realm was all because of Pallas. Although he did not use his divine telekinesis to examine Pallas's true strength, according to his experience, Pallas's true strength was most likely at the peak of the martial royal realm. The cultivation of the peak of the martial royal realm could only weaken a part of the rules of the mystery realm. On the other hand, the rules around the upper level 5 spiritual vein could be said to have been completely eliminated. How powerful would one need to be to achieve this? At the very least, the strength of a martial saint would not be able to achieve this. Could it be that there was an even more powerful expert behind the upper level 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast? When he thought of this, it would be strange if Thaling's expression was pleasant. Although he had his suspicions, Thaling did not inform Howren beforehand. This was because no matter how powerful the expert behind the upper level 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast was, without the restrictions of the rules of the mystery realm, not only could he use all of his divine telekinesis, he could also mobilize a part of the victor's power. As long as the opponent's cultivation was not at the level of a 7th grade martial honorable, he had 100% confidence that he could save Howren's life. Although the consequences of using the victor's power would be very serious, if he could save Howren's life, everything would be worth it. Howren, every 300 meters, there are training and disciples nailed to the tree trunk. Moreover, the number will increase by 1. Thaling avoided the main point and mentioned the trivial. It seems that most of the disciples training in the Blue Moon mystery realm have already fallen into the hands of the enchanted beast. Right now, I only hope that nothing will happen to that girl. Otherwise, even if I slaughter the upper level 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast, it would be difficult to make up for the debt I owed to that girl in my previous life. Hearing what Thaling had seen with his divine telekinesis, Howren's face revealed a trace of worry as he secretly prayed in his heart. After that, he instructed the red wood boar. Brother boar, I'll have to trouble you to stop every 300 meters. I want to find a person who is very important to me. Rumble. The red wood boar nodded and hummed a few times. It indicated for Howren to get on its back. After that, every 300 meters, the red wood boar would take the initiative to stop for 5 seconds so that Howren could observe the appearance of the disciples nailed to the tree trunk. After advancing for nearly 10,000 meters and nearing the source of the upper level 5 spiritual vein, Howren jumped off the red wood boar's back for the first time. Then he walked straight to the tree trunk that was as thick as a wooden barrel nailed to the left. Chapter 255. In the Blue Moon Secret Realm, in the upper rank 5 spirit vein. Thaling, use your divine sense to check if Gongsun Yiming has any special means left behind by the enchanted beast. Howren instructed Thaling when he was 10 meters away from Gongsun Yiming. Unlike the Heart Moon Sect's disciples, his life and death had nothing to do with him. But Gongsun Yiming was different, no matter if the conditions allowed it or not. As long as he had the ability, he had to save him. Howren, although Gongsun Yiming doesn't have any means left behind by the enchanted beast, you can't save him now. because the enchanted beast has already arranged all the disciples to become sacrifices for the blood sacrifice technique. If you save Gong Sun Yiming now, not only will it not destroy the blood sacrifice technique, it will also activate the blood sacrifice technique in advance, causing all the disciples who are nailed to the tree to lose their lives in an instant. There was no need to observe Gong Sun Yiming's situation. Fowling had already used his divine sense to check the situation of the entire spirit vein. He knew why these people were nailed to the tree and why there was an additional person every 300 meters. This was because this kind of increasing arrangement was the unique arrangement of the great blood sacrifice technique. Junior brother Gong's son, don't worry. I will definitely save you. Hearing Fowling say that Gong Sun Yiming and the other disciples had already been arranged by the enchanted beast to become sacrifices for the blood sacrifice technique, Yu Haoran, who had some understanding of the blood sacrifice technique, knew that he couldn't make a move for the time being. Luckily, he knew how to remove the blood sacrifice technique and solemnly promised Gong Sun Yiming. Let's go. Forcefully turning around, Yu Haoran didn't let the red redwood boar carry him this time. Instead, he used his footwork technique to speed up his approach to the source of the spirit vein. At the same time, he would casually throw down an elixir every 300 meters. Yu Haoran abruptly stopped when he was almost 2 kilometers deep into the spirit vein. This was because there were 2 people he was very familiar with standing in front of him. One of them was Zhao Zong, who had traded 4 pieces of valuable information for his life some time ago. The other person was Lin Mengyao. Due to various concerns, she chose to break up with him in advance to avoid implicating him. She also made him completely close the door to his feelings. However, Lin Mengyao was currently unconscious. Yu Haoran, now that you see me, do you regret letting me live? Zhao Zong said excitedly when he saw Yu Haoran at the source of the spirit vein. Zhao Zong, a lackey will always be a lackey. Even if you're alive now, you're still just a pitiful lapdog. Yu Haoran looked coldly at Zhao Zong and viciously mocked him. Yu Haoran, continue to be stubborn. Facing Yu Haoran's vicious mockery, although Zhao Jian's heart was filled with hatred, he could only forcefully suppress his hatred when he thought of the orders of the person behind him. He then pulled Lin Mengyao in front of him and tightly gripped Lin Mengyao's neck with the fingers of his left hand as he threatened with a smug expression. Yu Haoran, if you cripple your own cultivation right now and kneel in front of me, I might be merciful and let Lin Mengyao live. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. Spirit vein, bewitching, this is a conflict between you and me. What's the meaning of sending a lackey here? Are you looking down on me, Yu Haoran? Completely ignoring Zhao Zong's threat, Yu Haoran stared at the source of the spirit vein and shouted at the ball of spirit mist that had completely turned into mist. Damn it, Yu Haoran, you actually dare to look down on me. Do you believe that I won't kill Lin Mengyao right now? Faced with Yu Haoran's naked disregard, Zhao Zong found it difficult to conceal the anger in his heart. Flustered and exasperated, he began to tighten his grip on Lin Mengyao's fingers. As Lin Mengyao's breathing gradually became difficult, a trace of abnormal redness appeared on her pale face. Unfortunately, Zhao Zong's method of using Lin Mengyao as a threat not only had no effect on Yu Haoran, but he was also indifferent to Lin Mengyao's flushed face due to lack of oxygen. If it had been 3 days ago, before he had parted with Lin Mengyao, and Zhao Zong had used this method, Yu Haoran might have taken notice and thought of a way to save Lin Mengyao. But now, seeing that there was no response from the spirit fog, Yu Haoran couldn't help but sneer. Then he took out a black birth ball from his storage ear and directly threw it into the spirit fog to detonate. Boom! Following the explosion of the black birth ball, the spirit fog in front of him suddenly churned. Accompanied by the churning of the spirit fog, there was a baby-like cry, as well as a dragon-like roar. Yu Haoran, do you really not care about Lin Mengyao's life or death? Seeing that Yu Haoran not only continued to ignore his threat, but also directly fought with the expert behind him, Zhao Zong felt humiliated. At the same time, he also began to doubt whether the enchanted beast method of using Lin Mengyao to threaten Yu Haoran would work. If threatening Yu Haoran didn't work, he didn't want to strangle Lin Mengyao to death, because he still wanted to make Lin Mengyao his woman. Therefore, he loosened his grip a little. Turning his head to look at Zhao Zong, Yu Haoran didn't say a word. Then he turned his head back to look at the spirit fog. Seeing that the churning spirit fog quickly returned to normal, and that the enchanted beast and the high-grade level 5 spirit vein didn't intend to appear, Yu Haoran knew that his method just now wasn't fierce enough. Therefore, he took out another Black Birth orb and secretly infused a slaughter spirit pill into it. At the same time, the red redwood boar that had been standing beside Yu Haoran took advantage of Zhao Zong's distraction to turn into a red light and directly sent Zhao Zong flying. Then it carried the unconscious Lin Mengyao back. Seeing that the red redwood boar took the initiative to save Lin Mengyao, Yu Haoran only looked at it indifferently. He didn't find any complaints. Then he tightly held onto the Black Birth ball and planned to throw the second Black Birth ball into the spirit fog. But just as Yu Haoran was about to make a move, suddenly an identical Black Birth ball flew out from the spirit fog. Seeing the Black Birth ball that flew out from the spirit fog, Yu Haoran couldn't help but laugh. It was the Black Birth ball that he had refined for Lin Mengyao. He quietly looked at the Black Birth ball that was flying over. When the Black Birth ball was less than a meter away from him and was about to explode, Yu Haoran suddenly snapped his fingers. With the snap of his fingers, the Black Birth ball that was about to explode immediately stopped. After taking the Black Birth ball and storing it in his storage ring, Yu Haoran directly threw the Black Birth ball into the spirit fog. When Yu Haoran snapped his fingers to stop the Black Birth ball from exploding, a cry of surprise came from the spirit fog. But when it saw that Yu Haoran directly threw the second Black Birth ball, the enchanted beast's angry cry came from the spirit fog. Chapter 256. Inside the Blue Moon's secret realm, inside the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein. Suddenly, the Gale Wolf leaped out of the spiritual mist and swallowed the Black Birthing ball that was about to explode. Then, it used its speed to avoid the spiritual mist from being affected by the explosion of the Black Birthing ball. With a snap of his finger, the Black Birth ball that was about to explode in the Gale Wolf's body immediately calmed down. Although the Black Birth ball that was infused with the slaughtering spirit pill did not explode and did not expose the secret of the slaughtering spirit pill to the enchanted beast and the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein, Yu Haoran's expression was very ugly. Because the Gale Wolf that swallowed the Black Birth ball was actually a rank 8 9th grade mutated beast that had exceeded the limit of the secret realm. This meant that the secret realm's rules had all disappeared within the range of the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein. Thowling, what is going on? Looking at the Gale Wolf that had been avoiding the spiritual mist and staring at him, Yu Haoran asked with a gloomy expression. Within 1,000 meters of the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein, the secret realm's rules have all disappeared. I suspect that the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast are not the true masterminds behind the blood sacrifice ritual. There is an even more powerful mutated beast behind them that has a bloodline that is far superior to the palace. Seeing that Yu Haoran had already discovered the abnormality of the secret realm's rules, Thowling did not continue to hide it and directly stated his guess. A mutated beast that is even more powerful than the high-grade rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast. After hearing Thowling's guess, Yu Haoran was startled and wanted to escape, but he shook his head and disagreed with Thowling's guess. Thowling, you also know that the blood sacrifice ritual is a taboo technique. Even if the sacrifice is other creatures, the person who uses the blood sacrifice ritual will also suffer the backlash of the blood sacrifice ritual. Therefore, unless there is no other choice, no one is willing to use the blood sacrifice ritual. That's right, but what does this have to do with the powerful and terrifying exotic beast behind the enchanted beast? Thowling, who was more familiar with the blood sacrifice technique, nodded, but he didn't know what Yu Haoran's speculation was. Thowling, do you still remember that Palace once told Du Yuan that he had a way to leave the Blue Moon secret realm? Or rather, leave this so-called demon-sealing secret realm? I'll remember it. Thowling nodded. How could he possibly forget? It was because of Pallas's big mouth that Yu Howard knew that the Blue Moon Mystic Realm was the demon sealing mystic realm. In my opinion, since Pallas was able to eliminate a portion of the secret realm's power of rules, the method of leaving he spoke of is likely to be using his own strength to forcefully repel the secret realm's power of rules and blast open the secret realm's barrier to leave. That makes sense. Hearing Yu Howard's speculation about Pallas's nature and strength, Thowling couldn't help but agree. Moreover, as someone who understood the demon-sealing mystic realm better, he knew that as long as more than half of the secret realm's power of rules could be eliminated, there was a 90% chance of breaking open the secret realm's barrier and leaving the demon-sealing mystic realm. With Pallas's strength, he could only eliminate a portion of the Red Rock's power of rules. Then, the exotic beast that could completely eliminate the secret realm's power of rules within 1,000 meters of the spiritual vein could probably leave the secret realm with the upper grade rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast. Then, why would they risk the risk of being devoured by the beast to forcefully activate the blood sacrifice technique? Yu Howard, what do you mean? Yu Howard's reasonable speculation had caused Thowling's own speculation to deviate, so he couldn't help but want to know what went wrong with his speculation. There are two possibilities for the secret realm's power of rules to disappear within 1,000 meters of the upper grade, rank 5 spiritual vein. The first possibility is that the Blue Moon secret realm's rules have changed, causing the power of rules to temporarily disappear. Yu Howard raised his head to look at the spirit fog and found that there were no movements from the upper grade, rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast. The Gale Wolf that swallowed the black birthing orb also didn't seem to have any intention of attacking. After pondering for a while, he spoke of his own speculation. The second possibility is that the Scarlet Loathed Beast that has eliminated a part of the rule power of the secret realm in the Red Rocks is probably far stronger than what you and I have guessed. Actually, Pallas already has the ability to completely eliminate the secret realm's power of rules, and he also has the ability to leave the secret realm at any time. Or, because of some special reason, he temporarily doesn't want to or can't leave the Blue Moon secret realm. In fact, Yu Howard was more inclined towards the second possibility. After all, the demon-sealing mystic realm was a taboo topic that even Thowling didn't want to mention. So how could it change so easily? Furthermore, if Pallas had the confidence to leave the secret realm, was his true strength as he had guessed? Yu Howard, I think your speculation is correct. Pallas is far more terrifying than we have imagined. Thowling nodded and also leaned towards the second possibility. However, regardless of whether the secret realm's rules were eliminated by Pallas or not, the disappearance of the power of rules within the range of the upper grade, rank 5 spiritual vein, was a good thing for Yu Howard. Without the restriction of the secret realm's rules, not only could he use the secret transformation technique to transform into a Martial King Realm Vajra monkey, he could also use the trump card that he had prepared before entering the secret realm. Originally, Yu Howard didn't have full confidence in defeating the upper grade rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast, but now he was full of confidence. Yu Howard, you dare to sneak attack me. When the red redwood boar had attacked, it had only wanted to save Lin Mengyao and prevent Yu Howard from being threatened. Therefore, the force of the collision wasn't very strong. Zhao Zong, who had been sent flying, had only suffered light injuries and had temporarily fainted. After a period of recuperation, Zhao Zong regained consciousness. When he saw Lin Mengyao crawling on the red redwood boar's back, Zhao Zong was burning with anger and didn't have time to heal his injuries. He immediately shouted loudly. Turning his head to look at Zhao Zong, Yu Howard suddenly shouted, "Shut up! Zhao Zong, if you don't want to die now, you'd better stand to the side obediently. Otherwise, I don't mind sending you on your way." Regardless of whether it was Zhao Sinyu's scheme against him or the enchanted beast scheme against the secret territory's disciples, Zhao Zong was only a chess piece executing the scheme. However, to be able to be chosen by both Zhao Sinyu and the enchanted beast at the same time, there had to be something extraordinary about him. Therefore, Yu Haoran planned to carefully study Zhao Zong after dealing with the upper grade, rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanted beast. He wanted to see if he had any other hidden secrets. Facing Yu Haoran's threat, Zhao Zong immediately retreated a few steps in fear. With Lin Mingyao in his hands, he believed that Yu Haoran wouldn't dare to act rashly. However, now that his shield had been rescued by the other party, if he continued to provoke Yu Haoran, with Yu Haoran's strength that could contend with the expert behind him, killing him would be as easy as moving a finger. Therefore, Zhao Zong quickly chose to shut up and quickly retreated. Chapter 257. Within the Blue Moon's secret realm, within the upper rank 5 spirit vein. After the cries in the spirit fog ended, Zhao Zong, who originally had a trace of fear on his face, instantly lost it. It was replaced with indifference, a kind of indifference towards living beings. At the same time, Zhao Zong, who was originally a 7th grade martial warrior, suddenly emitted a powerful aura between a peak 9th grade martial ancestor and a 1st grade martial king. Raising his head to look at Yu Haoran, Zhao Zong, whose temperament and aura had completely changed, greeted him with a very gentle attitude. Genius among human cultivators, hello? I am enchanted, the enchanted beast that is about to break through to the martial king realm and possesses the imperial bloodline of exotic beasts. Could it be that you only know how to talk to me through the living beings you control? Are you a coward who doesn't dare to face me directly? Facing the enchanted beast's gentle attitude, Yu Haoran coldly laughed and mocked with an extremely disdainful expression. Genius among human cultivators, I, enchanted, specialize in controlling the minds of living beings and probing their thoughts. I know that the move you used just now was called provocation. You wanted to lure out my main body and then use my main body's weak defense to directly kill me. Facing Yu Haoran's extremely disdainful mockery, the enchanted beast was not angered. Instead, it thought that it had seen through Yu Haoran's plan and said proudly, TCH. Facing the enchanted beast who thought itself infallible, Yu Haoran couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Without the suppression of the secret realm's rules, it could use the secret transformation technique to raise its strength to the martial king realm. In the entire Blue Moon secret realm, other than the palace, whose strength he couldn't see through, no other exotic beasts were worthy of his attention. If he wanted to kill the enchanted beast, he only needed to transform and directly kill his way into the spirit fog. There was no need to use provocation. Genius among human cultivators, there isn't much hatred between us. We only want to leave this damned demon-sealing secret realm. So there's an innate condition for us to coexist peacefully. The enchanted beast thought that Yu Haoran's thoughts had been exposed and couldn't refute, so it spoke even more proudly. Oh, what is the innate condition for us to coexist peacefully? Seeing that the enchanted beast actually planned to put down their hatred and choose to coexist, Yu Haoran's interest was immediately piqued. Of course, interest was just interest. His determination to kill the upper rank 5 spiritual vein and the enchanting beast would never change. A genius among human warriors. Through the memories of Zhao Chong and that little girl, I know that you are a top genius among human warriors. Seeing that Yu's words, the enchanted beast spoke of the beast was even prouder. Geniuses, whether it's you human cultivators or us strange beasts, in addition to our own talent and potential, we also need large amounts of cultivation resources, as well as the assistance of top spirit herbs. Chapter 258. Inside the Blue Moon secret realm. Inside the upper rank 5 spiritual vein. That's right. Although Zhao Zong's talent and potential are not as outstanding as yours, the wisdom and ambition that he possesses are enough for us to have a better cooperation. Moreover, the results of our cooperation are also very good. Nodding, the enchanted beast confirmed that the reason why Zhao Zong was willing to cooperate was indeed because of the 2 conditions that he had promised earlier. However, If you are willing to agree to my conditions, then my cooperation with Zhao Zong will end here. Moreover, I will hand him over to you to deal with after this. How about that? Subsequently, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, raised his head and looked at Yu Haoran with an expectant expression. Yu Haoran, try to delay it as much as possible. I seem to have discovered a secret of the upper rank 5 spiritual vein. It is a heaven-defying opportunity that may allow you to continue to be reborn. Just as Yu Haoran was about to reject the other party's promise and ruthlessly humiliate the enchanted beast, Thaling's request to stall for time suddenly appeared in his mind. Regarding this, Yu Haoran certainly could not refuse. Therefore, he pretended to be seriously considering it and then chatted with Thaling. Thaling, what kind of important treasure did you discover that you want me to stall the enchanted beast? I discovered that only spiritual veins of rank 5 and above can possibly nurture crystal marrow. Thaling said excitedly. What? You're saying that the upper rank 5 spiritual vein beneath my feet may nurture crystal marrow that can turn a good-for-nothing into a genius into a demon, and a demon into an emperor's disciple? Yu Haoran asked in disbelief. Crystal marrow was a type of energy stone that was of a higher grade than spirit stones. The energy contained in crystal marrow could not only greatly increase one's cultivation and strength, but there was also a special energy in crystal marrow that was similar to innate qi. This special energy was similar to innate qi and could increase a martial artist's talent, potential, perseverance, and comprehension by 100-fold. After breaking through to the martial disciple and martial warrior 10th grade, as well as the physical body 10th grade, Yu Haoran guessed that his talent and potential should have reached the level of a martial honorable. He had officially entered the ranks of peerless geniuses. Although the increase in perseverance and comprehension was not much, it should have reached the peak of the martial saint realm. If he could consume crystal marrow, then his cultivation would skyrocket. His talent, potential, perseverance, and comprehension would also reach the level of a demon. In other words, he would have the qualifications to surpass Emperor Wu's. Pagoda Spirit, don't be hasty. Take your time to search and lock onto the crystal marrow. It's best if you can steal it in advance. Thaling art. Thaling beast was. If he could obtain the crystal marrow, he would be willing to temporarily let go of his hatred for the high-grade rank 5 spirit vein and the enchanting beast. Therefore, Yu Haoran suppressed the excitement in his heart and reminded Thaling beast that he must find the crystal marrow. All right, you go deal with the enchanted beast first. I'll see if I can use the power of divine, martial spirit to conceal the crystal marrow and make the spiritual demon god think that it has been lost. Thaling waved his hand, indicating that Yu Haoran should not disturb him. He began to focus on finding the exact location of the crystal marrow. The reason why Yu Haoran had locked onto the crystal marrow so passionately and excitedly was because the crystal marrow wasn't just capable of transforming Yu Haoran's body. It also had unimaginable effects on his main body's territory tower. Therefore, he asked Yu Haoran to find a way to stall for time so that he could obtain the crystal marrow. Mi-hun, to be honest, the 2 conditions you promised me just now are very tempting. However, I have 2 very important problems that I need you to solve. If you can help me solve them, then I can help you capture those human ancient martial art practitioners who have escaped. Since he was stalling for time, so that Thaling could have time to lock on and set up the formation, Yu Haoran naturally had to think of a way to buy more time without arousing the enchanted beast's suspicion. Therefore, he started with the enchanted beast promise just now. Genius of the human ancient martial art practitioners, if you have any problems, feel free to ask. As long as it is within my ability, I will definitely help you solve them. Seeing that Yu Haoran might agree to the conditions it had just promised, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, revealed an expected smile. Then, he patted his chest and promised. Although the cultivation resources and elixirs in the Blue Moon secret realm are enormous, and I believe that you are sincere in giving them to me, how can I bring them out of the secret realm? After all, even if I use both my hands and feet, I can only bring away 1/millionth of the cultivation resources and elixirs in the entire secret realm. I'm afraid that 1/millionth of the cultivation resources is not worth the risk. After raising the first problem he was facing, Yu Haoran looked nervously at the enchanted beast. He wanted to see if the enchanted beast would be suspicious. This was because the enchanted beast had just mentioned that it had read the memories of Zhao Zong and Lin Mengyao before. And these two people knew that he had a storage artifact that could store large amounts of items. Fortunately, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, only frowned and did not reveal any suspicious expression. After considering for about a minute, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, turned its head to look at the spirit fog. Then a cloth bag flew out from the spirit fog. The enchanted beast pointed at the cloth bag in its hand and introduced, "Genius among human warriors. This is an artifact that can store items. According to what you human warriors call it, it should be called a storage bag." Looking at the storage bag in the enchanted beast's hand, Yu Haoran asked excitedly, "Enchanted beast, how much space does this storage bag have, and how many cultivation resources can it store?" The enchanted beast directly threw the storage bag in its hand to Yu Haoran and said, "I don't know either. Why don't you take a look for yourself?" Reaching out to take the storage bag, Yu Haoran did not immediately use his mind to check it. After all, the enchanted beast was a special beast that specialized in controlling the minds of living creatures. He was worried that the enchanted beast would do something to the storage bag and use special methods to control his mind. "Thaling, can you spare some time?" Although Yu Haoran did not want to trouble Thaling, he did not want any accidents to happen either. Thus, he could only ask Thaling for help. "What's wrong?" Thaling, who had just locked onto the Crystal Marrow's location and was about to use his mind to set up a concealment formation, asked rather impatiently. While apologizing to Thaling, Yu Haoran pointed at the storage bag in his hand and said, "Thaling, I'm really sorry. I just wanted you to check if there's anything wrong with this storage bag. There's nothing wrong with it." The Tower Genie used his powerful divine sense to check the storage bag inside and out. While indicating that there were no problems, he couldn't help but complain to Haoran. Chapter 259. Inside the Blue Moon Secret Realm. Inside the rank 5 Spirit Vein. 30 square meters. Hearing the Thaling say that the storage bag in his hand only had 30 square meters of space, Yu Haoran wasn't disappointed at all. That was because he didn't expect the enchanted beast to give him a storage bag. To be able to obtain a storage bag that could store items for free was also an unexpected surprise. Furthermore, Wu Zhengjun lacked a storage Dharma artifact. He had obtained some spiritual herbs and blood essences of exotic beasts during his training. He had either temporarily stored them with him or directly consumed them. This was very disadvantageous for him to fully utilize the blood essences of exotic beasts and spiritual herbs. This 30 square meter storage bag was just enough to solve his current problem. Of course, an unexpected surprise was just an unexpected surprise. Since the enchanted beast could easily take out a precious storage Dharma artifact, it meant that it must have collected even more precious treasures in the Blue Moon Secret Realm for so many years. It might even have a storage Dharma artifact with even more space. Therefore, Yu Haoran, who originally had a trace of surprise on his face, quickly turned into disappointment. Furthermore, he sighed with an extremely unwilling tone. "Sigh, with only 30 square meters of space, how many cultivation resources and spiritual herbs can I take away? Is it worth it for me to take such a big risk?" Hearing Yu Haoran's unwilling sigh, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, couldn't help but frown. After that, he turned to look at the spirit fog. Then, a sparkling and translucent bracelet flew out from the spirit fog. "Genius among human warriors. I wonder if this storage Dharma artifact can satisfy you." Looking at the sparkling and translucent bracelet in its hand, the enchanted beast reluctantly threw it to Yu Haoran and asked with some heartache. Just now, the storage bag didn't have any special means, so Yu Haoran judged that this bracelet was definitely very safe. Therefore, after receiving the bracelet, he didn't ask the Thaling for help. Instead, he directly squeezed out a drop of blood essence and fused it into the bracelet. Then, his consciousness entered the storage bracelet. Seeing that the storage bracelet space had reached over 400 square meters, Yu Haoran couldn't help but praise, "Not bad." After withdrawing his consciousness from the storage bracelet, Yu Haoran smiled and nodded. "Mihun, I'm very satisfied with this storage bracelet. You've already solved my first problem." "That's great." Seeing how satisfied Yu Haoran was with the storage bracelet, the enchanted beast let out a sigh of relief. If Yu Haoran was still not satisfied with the storage bracelet, he would either have to take out a more precious storage Dharma artifact with a larger storage space, or he would directly turn hostile and attack. However, now is not the time to fall out with him. He had to continue stalling for time so that he could have enough time to break through with his high-level 5 spiritual vein. Seeing Yu Haoran happily put away his storage bracelet, the enchanted beast continued to ask, "Human genius, what is your second question?" "Mihun, I need to know how you sent me out of the Blue Moon secret realm before it closed." Yu Haoran asked the enchanted beast's most impossible promise. However, facing this question, the enchanted beast was very relaxed. Then he stretched out his hand and slashed at the void above his head. The void, which was originally difficult for even a martial emperor to shake, actually had a deep crack appear under the enchanted beast's slash. "Human genius, how is it? With my Mihun's ability to slash through the void, I can send you out of the secret realm whenever I want." Looking at the crack above his head, the enchanted beast said proudly, "TSK. It was a pity that the soul-enchanting beast's move had directly cut through the void. If other warriors had seen it, they might have been extremely shocked. However, in Yu Haoran's opinion, that move was obviously a trick to deceive people." "Human genius, could it be that you are doubting my ability?" Hearing Yu Haoran's unintentional sneer, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, questioned him with a displeased tone. "Mihun, I've said it from the beginning, don't treat me like a 3-year-old child." Facing the enchanted beast who could turn hostile at any time, Yu Haoran directly exposed his shortcomings and mocked him. "If your ability is really able to slash through the void at will, then why do you still need to prepare a plan to leave the secret realm? With your ability, you only need to rip open a crack big enough for a rank 5 upper spiritual vein to leave, and you can safely leave the Blue Moon secret realm. Therefore, don't use your enchanted beast's unique bewitching technique to deceive me, because it will make me feel very funny, and it will also make you look very childish. No wonder you are a human genius. Not only are your talents and potential outstanding, but your intelligence is even more outstanding." Facing Yu Haoran's exposure, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, had an abnormally gloomy expression. However, in less than 3 seconds, his gloomy expression turned into a sneer. "Unfortunately, even if your talents and potential are outstanding, even if your intelligence is outstanding, what use is it? Because this space is about to become your burial ground." Seeing the enchanted beast's ferocious expression, Yu Haoran took out the storage bracelet that he had just put away. As he stroked the storage bracelet with his hand, he asked with a sneer, "Oh, you want to shed all pretense of cordiality and attack me directly? Before you attack, do you still want your storage bag and storage bracelet back?" However, without waiting for the enchanted beast to reply, the spirit fog behind Zhao Zong suddenly began to churn. Along with the churning of the spiritual mist, a heart-palpitating power rose from the spiritual mist. Feeling this heart-palpitating power, Yu Haoran immediately understood why the enchanted beast was willing to put aside their hatred for each other, make such a tempting promise, and give away the storage bag and storage bracelet. It turned out that the enchanted beast had the same idea as him, which was to stall for time. He was stalling for time so that the Thaling could lock onto the crystal marrow and set up a formation to conceal the crystal marrow, so that he could directly take the crystal marrow after the battle. On the other hand, the enchanted beast was stalling for time to buy time for the upper rank 5 spirit vein to break through. This was because the heart-palpitating power just now was the energy fluctuation produced when the rank 5 spirit vein broke through. The rank 5 spirit vein was also the warrior realm among human cultivators. Who would have thought? What Yu Haoran did not expect was that the upper rank 5 spirit vein had concealed most of its strength when it ambushed him outside the dense forest, causing him to mistakenly think that the other party was only a rank 1 martial king. Therefore, in Yu Haoran's mind, even without the restriction of the secret realm's rules, Yu Haoran believed that the upper rank 5 spirit vein could only break through to the peak of rank 7 spirit vein, which was the peak of rank 9 martial ancestor realm. If he was lucky and had sufficient spiritual energy, he might be able to break through to rank 6 spirit vein, which was the rank 1 martial king realm. Chapter 260. Dear, don't leave. There should be another chapter tonight. Inside the Blue Moon secret realm, inside the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse. Yu Haoran, if you kneel down and beg for mercy now, I might consider letting you live. You can be my and brotherling Yuan's servant in the future. After all, I am very satisfied with your talent, potential, and wisdom. Mi-hun, it seems that what I said at the beginning was not wrong. Either you have been treating me like a 3-year-old child, or you have not woken up yet. Do you think that after breaking through to the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse, you will have the ability to defeat or even kill me? After putting away the storage bracelet, Yu Haoran mocked in disdain as he began to mobilize the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his meridians. Yu Haoran, although the crystal marrow has been concealed by my array, it was almost discovered by the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse that had just formed its divine soul. Take advantage of the fact that he has just broken through to the upper rank 5 and is still not used to the sudden increase in power. Kill him for me. Just as Yu Haoran began to mobilize the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his meridians and was preparing to use the secret transformation technique, Thaling's urgent voice came from his sea of consciousness. Great! Since the crystal marrow had been locked and concealed with Thaling's strength and methods, the crystal marrow was basically in the bag. Then, the harvest from the Blue Moon secret realm this time had far exceeded his imagination. Therefore, after Yu Haoran said good to himself, he began to speed up his transformation. Roar! Just as Yu Haoran was speeding up his transformation, the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse that had successfully broken through to the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse and was seizing the time to consolidate its realm suddenly let out an exasperated roar. After hearing the exasperated roar from the spirit fog, Zhao Zong, who was controlled by the enchanted beast, changed his expression. Then, a white light flew out from Zhao Zong's sea of consciousness and quickly entered the spirit fog. After losing control of the enchanted beast, Zhao Zong gloomily glanced at Yu Haoran. He then glanced at the spirit fog behind him as a look of resentment flashed through his eyes. Although his mind had been controlled by the ecstasy beast, his mind had always been clear, and he could see and hear everything that was happening outside. Back then, when the enchanted beast tempted him, it only made 2 promises that he didn't know if he could fulfill. It didn't give him both a storage bag and a storage bracelet like it did with Yu Haoran. From this, it could be seen that the enchanted beast had no intention of fulfilling its promise. It was only using and toying with him. Thinking about how he was an expert in scheming and manipulating others, Zhao Zong was furious that he was suddenly being manipulated by someone else. He felt a deep sense of dejection and failure. Looking at the transforming Yu Haoran and the churning spirit fog, Zhao Zong quietly retreated until he was under a large tree. He planned to escape from the spirit vein. However, he didn't escape from the spirit vein to the periphery of the secret realm, but to the depths of the secret realm. This was because Zhao Zhuangjian was very clear in his heart that nearly 70% of the disciples who were nailed to the tree by the soul-enchanting beast were captured alive by him and his strange beasts. Those people definitely hated him to the core. Thinking about how the spirit vein was no longer restricted by the secret realm's rules, it wouldn't be difficult for Yu Haoran, who could transform into a Vajra monkey and had the strength of a peak 4th grade martial king, to defeat and kill the enchanted beast. If Yuhauran was able to defeat or even kill the enchanted beast and the high-grade 5th-rank spirit vein in the end, those disciples who were captured alive would be saved. When the Blue Moon's secret realm closed and everyone returned to the valley, he would have to face everyone's accusations and hatred. If he wanted to keep his life, he would have to ask sect leader Zhao Ji to personally help him. How could he get Zhao Ji to personally help him? The only way was to obtain the magic tool that was said to be born from the heavens and earth in the depths of the secret realm. Zhao Zong, who originally didn't want to take the risk, could only take the risk in order to save his life. Yuhauran, who was in the middle of transforming, looked at Zhao Zong, who was escaping into the depths of the secret realm. A trace of understanding flashed through his eyes. He stopped the red redwood boar that was planning to chase after Zhao Zong. Then he pointed a finger at the escaping Zhao Zong. Following that, a trace of blood-red light directly entered Zhao Zong's body without him noticing. Afterwards, Yuhauran withdrew his gaze from Zhao Zong and focused on speeding up his transformation so that he could kill the high-grade 5th-rank spirit vein. Boom! Just when Yuhauran's transformation reached the 7th grade and his height reached over 50 meters, the entire spirit vein let out a loud sound. Following the deafening sound, with the spirit fog as the critical point, the entire spirit vein quickly split open to form a huge crack. Just as the huge crack formed, one after another, exotic beasts that had broken through the limit of the 9th grade of the 9th grade and had reached the 7th and 8th grade of the 9th grade scurried out of the crack. Seeing the 199 exotic beasts that had surpassed the limit of the secret realm, Yuhauran's heart flashed with a trace of displeasure. They hid in the spirit vein in advance, and there were no traces of a breakthrough in the spirit vein. This meant that these exotic beasts must have broken through half a day ago. In other words, Pallas, who had just left the Red Rocks, did not directly enter the spirit cave in the depths of the secret realm. Instead, he helped the enchanted beast and the high-grade 5th-rank spirit vein to eliminate the power of laws in the secret realm. At that time, Pallas's attitude was very clear. He would definitely not help either side. But now, of course, the displeasure in his heart only lasted for less than a second. Yuhauran's attention returned to the exotic beasts that had scurried out of the spirit vein. Oh, the Gale Wolf that had just swallowed the Blackbirth Ball and left the spirit fog far away, saw its companions preparing to surround Yuhauran. It howled excitedly and returned to the group of exotic beasts. Originally, he wanted to stabilize his strength at the peak of Martial Ancestor Realm for the time being, and then use Du as I wished to fight with these exotic beasts. But when he saw the Gale Wolf returning to the group of exotic beasts, Yuhauran could not help but laugh. Pah! Then he snapped his fingers, and the Gale Wolf that had just returned to the group of exotic beasts and was eyeing Yuhauran covetously was directly blasted into minced meat by the Blackbirth Ball. The minced meat that splattered everywhere covered almost the entire group of exotic beasts. The 199 exotic beasts were more or less stained with a trace of the Gale Wolf's flesh. Seeing the effect of the Blackbirth Ball's explosion, Yuhauran smiled and nodded. Then, he ignored the Class 7 and Class 6 exotic beasts and continued to stimulate the energy of the Vajra monkey's blood essence. SSSS, a blue silk snake, which was about 50 meters long and had reached the 3rd rank of the 7th rank, was equivalent to a human warrior at the 3rd rank of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. It raised its head high and roared at Yuhauran. Just as it was about to attack, it suddenly felt its skin, which had just touched the flesh of the Gale Wolf, begin to itch. It originally wanted to ignore the itch, but in just a second, the itch spread to its entire body. Moreover, this kind of pain and itchiness made it want to roll and rub immediately to lessen the pain and itchiness. Chapter 261. Inside the Blue Moon's secret realm, in the upper rank 5 spirit vein, when the green silk snake finally could no longer feel the itch from its body, it planned to straighten its body and continue to follow the enchanted beast's instructions to attack Yuhauran. Suddenly, it realized that it couldn't move. It looked down with its small, cold eyes and realized that its entire body had been rubbed into a pool of blood. All that was left of it was its head. Why was it still alive with only its head left? When the green silk snake thought of this question, it suddenly felt boundless darkness attacking it. Then its consciousness completely died. The green silk snake began to rub its body. As if it was a signal, one after another, the strange beasts began to rub on the ground until only their heads were left. Then, like the green silk snake, these strange beasts finally died when they realized that only their heads were left. You, Howren, if you aren't forced into a certain situation, I hope that you won't use the slaughter spirit pill in the future. Thowling had already used the divine sense formation to conceal the crystal marrow. In order to avoid being discovered by the upper rank 5 spirit vein, he could only temporarily withdraw his divine sense. Therefore, he personally witnessed the entire process of the 199 strange beasts dying in front of him. Although he had witnessed countless deaths, it was the first time he had seen such a tragic way of dying. Therefore, he couldn't bear it and couldn't help but advise. Let's talk about it later. Faced with Thowling's advice, Howren neither objected nor agreed. He directly raised the energy of the Vajra monkey's blood essence to the peak of 9th grade Martial King and then responded indifferently. In fact, he had seen the process of the strange beasts dying in front of him more than once in his previous life. He had even seen death methods that were several times more miserable than this. Moreover, among the poison pill recipes that he had, the slaughter spirit pill's power could only be considered average. At the same time, among the dozens of pill recipes that he had discovered, at least 17 of them were poison pills. The process of death could even scare a timid person to death. Neither the enchanted beast nor the level 5 spiritual pulse had expected that the 200 helpers they had carefully prepared, who had broken through level 9 and had the strength of level 6 and level 7, would be so easily slaughtered by Howren. This caused the originally churning spiritual fog to suddenly calm down. However, Howren did not stop his transformation in the face of the spiritual fog that had suddenly calmed down. Now that his strength had increased to the peak of 9th grade Martial King, his physical body's ability to withstand power had increased. Subsequently, he was pleasantly surprised to find that after his physical body had broken through the complete rank 10 realm and advanced to the perfect state, not only had his body's defense increased by several times, but his ability to withstand the transformation's power had also increased by dozens of times. Now, after increasing the energy of the Vajra monkey's blood essence to the peak of 9th grade Martial King, not only did his body not feel the slightest bit of pain, it even produced an extreme desire to continue increasing his strength. Thinking of this, Howren directly released 70% of the energy of the Vajra monkey's blood essence, causing his grade to directly advance to level 5, which was the strength of a Martial King. With a height of 60 meters and an aura of a level 1 Martial King, Howren could barely feel a trace of unbearable pressure on his physical body. At the same time, after careful observation, he found that he could still increase his strength by 1 or 2 grades without suffering any backlash from the secret transformation technique. However, he did not do so. This was because he was worried that if he increased his strength to level 3 Martial King, he would scare the enchanted beast away. After all, the enchanted beast, who had lived for hundreds of years in the Blue Moon secret realm, was more familiar with it and understood it better. Inside the spiritual fog, Brother Ling Yuan, it looks like we made a mistake. Through the spiritual fog, he saw the Vajra monkey, who had transformed into a 60-meter-tall level 5 spiritual pulse, whose aura was not inferior to the level 5 spiritual pulse, and the enchanted beast, who could communicate with the ground through their consciousness, and a trace of regret appeared on its cute face. This was because he suddenly remembered the words that Pallas, who had removed the rules of the secret realm, had said before he left. Cleverness overreaches itself. Be careful not to shoot yourself in the foot. Brother Enchanted Beast, don't worry. In contrast to the enchanted beast's worries, Ling Yuan, who had just condensed his godly soul and was 90% similar to the divine dragon, spoke confidently. Even if that human has the strength of a level 5 martial king, I can still defeat him and kill him directly. Ling Yuan, don't be careless. After all, you and I didn't expect that human to have the ability to transform into an exotic beast. Seeing the overconfident Ling Yuan, the enchanted beast could not help but criticize him softly. I know. Although his level and strength were far superior to the enchanted beasts, Ling Yuan, whose godly soul had transformed into a dragon, nodded obediently in the face of the enchanted beast's criticism. By the way, Ling Yuan, have you found the missing crystal marrow? Having just broken through to level 5, the enchanted beast still needed some time to adapt and consolidate his strength. Therefore, when faced with Yu Haoran, who had already transformed, the enchanted beast did not let Ling Yuan attack immediately. Ling Yuan suddenly remembered the crystal marrow that they had just lost and hurriedly asked, I haven't found it. I suspect that the crystal marrow has been taken away, and he must be the one who took it. Ling Yuan could not help but grit his teeth when he heard the enchanted beast mention the crystal marrow. The crystal marrow had been carefully nurtured by his upper-level 5 spiritual pulse. Initially, he had intended to use it to help the enchanted beast break through to a higher level after leaving the demon sealing secret realm, as well as to increase the power of the enchanted beast. Therefore, Ling Yuan had always hidden the crystal marrow very well. He was afraid that some exotic beasts in the secret realm would discover it and come to snatch it away. After all, the crystal marrow could increase one's talent, potential, cultivation, strength, and special skills by 10-fold, or even 100-fold. However, Ling Yuan had never expected that after he had broken through to the martial emperor realm, he would not be able to take care of the crystal marrow for the time being. As a result, the crystal marrow leaked a trace of its aura and was directly snatched away. In the entire Blue Moon secret realm, the only one who could snatch the crystal marrow from under his nose without him noticing was the exotic beast among the red rocks. No! Faced with Ling Yuan's suspicion, the enchanted beast shook its head. Brother Ling Yuan, you've had too little contact with Palace. You don't know his character and character well. If he knew that you had nurtured the crystal marrow, he would only use his powerful strength to beat you into handing over the crystal marrow obediently. He would definitely not do something as sneaky as taking the crystal marrow away. Therefore, I suspect that the person who stole the crystal marrow is very likely this person who has mastered the exotic beast transformation. Brother Enchanted Beast, if this person stole the crystal marrow, then things will be easy to handle. I'll wring his head off in a while and withdraw. I'll definitely help you find the crystal marrow. Ling Yuan's fanatical worship of the enchanted beast made him agree with his earlier speculation. He then said with a sinister smile, Chapter 262. In the Blue Moon Secret Realm. In the superior rank, 5 Spirit Vein. Spiritual origin. Get ready to attack. Shaking his head, the enchanted beast felt that Yu Haoran, who had transformed into the Vajra monkey, was not as easy to deal with as spiritual origin had said. Even the plan that they had carefully prepared for many years could be ruined by Yu Haoran. Roar! Just as spiritual origin was about to attack, Yu Haoran, who was ready, let out a roar towards the sky. The roar resounded through the clouds and directly intimidated all the exotic beasts within a few thousand miles of the Spirit Vein. All of them trembled and crawled on the ground. On the Een Spring Mountain, which was less than 1,000 miles away from the Spirit Vein, Wu Zhijun, who could not cultivate in peace, was either waiting at the foot of the mountain and waiting for Yu Haoran's return or running to the top of the mountain to look for Yu Haoran. In this regard, Lai Yun and Zhang Ro did not say anything. After several interactions, they knew how deep the friendship between Wu Zhijun and Yu Haoran was. As long as Yu Haoran did not return to the Een Spring Mountain, Wu Zhijun would not be able to calm down. After returning to the mountainside, Wu Zhijun planned to wait for a while before going to the top of the mountain to see if he could find Yu Haoran. Suddenly, he heard the roar of the Vajra monkey and immediately stood up. Not good. This is Yu Shixiang's secret technique of transforming into the Vajram monkey. It seems that he has encountered a very troublesome problem. Feeling the power of the roar, Wu Zhengjuan's expression changed. Although he had not seen Yu Haoran barging into the law enforcement peak alone and transforming into the Vajram monkey to fight the law enforcement peak master, he was very familiar with the roar of the Vajram monkey. Therefore, Wu Zhengjun planned to leave the Yin Spring Mountain and look for Yu Haoran to help him deal with the troublesome problem. However, Lai Yin suddenly stopped him. Senior Marshal Brother Wu, when Yu Shixiang attempted to break through the law enforcement peak, I was fortunate enough to be a guest at one of the law enforcement peak's senior marshal brothers. I personally witnessed the entire process of Yu Haoran's transformation and the strength he possessed after his transformation. Lai Yun hurriedly explained when he saw Wu Zhengjuan's face turn gloomy, as if he was about to turn hostile. Back then, when Yu Shixiang transformed into the Vajram monkey, he had the strength of a peak 4th grade martial royal realm cultivator. Not only did he destroy Gao Wanping's supreme martial royal realm magic weapon, but he also suppressed all the martial royal realm cultivators present to the point that they didn't dare to make a move. Senior Brother Wu, it's not like you don't understand the situation in the Blue Moon Mystery Realm. Do you think there's any exotic beast that can break through to the Martial Emperor realm? Do you think any exotic beast is a match for Yu Shixiao? The two consecutive rhetorical questions left Wu Zhengjun speechless. His impulsive emotions gradually calmed down. Just as Lai Yun had said, Yu Shixiang, who had transformed into the Vajram monkey, had the strength of a peak 4th grade martial royal realm cultivator. Regardless of whether his opponent was also a martial royal realm cultivator, with the strength of a 3rd grade martial master, what would the result be if he rashly went forward? He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to help Yu Shixiao. It was even possible that his rash appearance would affect Yu Shixiang's performance. Taking a deep breath, Wu Zhengjun returned to the mountainside with a gloomy face and sat down cross-legged. Although he wanted to cultivate desperately so that he could become stronger and be Yu Shixiang's helper, his cultivation and physical body had already reached the limit of the Blue Moon Mystery Realm. Therefore, he could only wait for Yu Shixiang to solve the thorny problem and return to the Yin Spring Mountain. In a group of red rocks about 2,000 miles away from the Spirit Vein, Du Yuan, who was recalling every step of Yu Haoran's refinement of the massacre spirit pill, floated out of the water after hearing the Vajra monkey's roar. He looked in the direction of the Spirit Vein and muttered to himself with a serious expression. I really didn't expect that Brother Yu, who had transformed into a strange beast, would actually have the strength of a martial royal realm cultivator. It seems that Brother Yu was merciful when he was being hunted down by me. In the Spirit Vein, after letting out a roar that resounded through the clouds, the blood in his body began to boil. Yu Haoran waved the What Is My Will cudgel that had become bigger and thicker. It was just right for his current size, and he directly charged into the spirit fog. Brother Mihun, stay in the spirit mist for now. Watch how I twist off that kid's head. Ling Yuan, who had already stabilized his cultivation, shook his dragon head and flew out of the spirit mist with a sinister smile. Kid, prepare to die. In the spirit fog, Du Yuan, who had been suppressing his body size in order to take care of the enchanted beast, instantly began to grow in size after charging out of the spirit fog. When Du Yuan's entire body had flown out of the spirit fog, he had already transformed into a white dragon-shaped strange beast that was about 100 meters long. Looking at Du Yuan, who was 90% similar to a divine dragon, Yu Haoran asked in surprise, Thaling, after advancing from the spirit vein to the martial royal realm and condensing a divine soul, his form is not much different from the legendary divine dragon. The spirit vein, also known as the dragon vein, will naturally condense in the form of a divine dragon when condensing a divine soul. However, he only has the form of a divine dragon. He doesn't have the strength of a divine dragon, nor does he have the powerful skills of a divine dragon. Therefore, I can only say that he has the form but not the spirit. Thaling, who had dealt with divine dragons many times, looked at Du Yuan with disdain and contempt. Whether or not he has the strength of a divine dragon, we'll know once we try. Yu Haoran did not comment on Thaling's disdainful evaluation. He waved the do what I want rod in his hand and smashed it directly at Du Yuan, who was condensing a divine soul with the force of Mount Tai. Du Yuan had no intention of dodging Yu Haoran's do what I want rod. He waved his huge dragon tail and met the do what I want rod head on. Boom! As the do what I want rod and the dragon tail clashed for the first time, the entire sky above the spirit vein exploded. Following the explosion, Yu Haoran's do what I want rod rebounded into the air. Yu Haoran, who had transformed into the Vajram monkey, had to take 3 steps back before he could stabilize the do what I want rod. The Vajram monkey was a strange beast that was famous for its strength. The do what I want rod was not only a weapon that represented strength, but it was also a top-notch magic weapon that could increase one's strength by several times, or even more than 10 times. Therefore, although Yu Haoran took 3 steps back, Du Yuan was almost smashed to the ground. Roar! In just the first exchange, Du Yuan was completely at a disadvantage. This made Du Yuan very angry. Du Yuan flew back into the air and, like Yu Haoran, he let out a deafening roar. Then, he opened his huge dragon mouth and shot a ball of white energy at Yu Haoran. Seeing the ball of white energy that Du Yuan shot out, Yu Haoran had no intention of dodging. Break! Chapter 263. Inside the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Inside the Rank 5 Spiritual Vein. Boom! The rapidly attacking I will cudgel hit the white energy ball with one end of the cudgel. Afterwards, the white energy ball exploded violently. The violent explosion not only caused an even louder roar, it also forced the I will cudgel back. Yu Haoran, who was holding the I will cudgel, looked at the rapidly shaking cudgel, and his expression couldn't help but change. In order to prevent his arm from being injured by the rebounding force of the cudgel, he could only retreat while forcefully removing the shockwave from the I will cudgel. After the roar ended, Yu Haoran, who had retreated 5 steps, finally removed the shockwave from the I will cudgel. Looking up at the spiritual vein that was 90% similar to the divine dragon, Yu Haoran, who had transformed into the Vajram monkey, couldn't help but grin. In the second exchange, it seemed like he was at a disadvantage, but that wasn't the case. Because the white energy ball that the spiritual vein had shot out was basically one of the innate skills of the dragon-shaped exotic beast. It could also be said to be a trump card. What about him? Earlier, he had only used the pure physical strength of the Vajram monkey. He didn't use the demonic chi in his body, nor did he use any cudgel techniques. At most, he had only used half of his strength after transforming. Therefore, Yu Haoran, who had basically figured out his opponent's strength, didn't plan to continue probing. Squatting slightly, he used the force of the landing to charge toward the spiritual vein in the air like a cannonball. After approaching the spiritual vein, Yu Haoran made use of the Vajram monkey's innate ability and use of cudgel techniques. He waved the I will cudgel and attacked the spiritual vein from all directions like a storm. Although the Vajram monkey's huge body could carry more power, it also affected its counterattack and dodging speed. The I will cudgel smashed, flicked, stabbed, bounced, fell, and blocked more than 30 fierce attacks. All of them hit the vital points of the spiritual vein. After a round of attacks ended, Yu Haoran landed back on the spiritual vein. At this moment, the spirit source condensed by the superior grade, 5 spirit meridian, no longer had the majesty of a divine dragon. That was because the 2 horns on his head had been broken, and one of his huge dragon eyes had been pierced blind. His entire dragon body was dripping with blood. Roar! Long Yuan roared furiously at Yu Haoran when he sensed the heavy injuries he had sustained. Immediately after, a milky white light rose from his body and quickly enveloped his entire body. 3 seconds later, as the milky white energy disappeared, Ling Yuan, who was originally riddled with injuries, missing horns and blind, turned back into a majestic divine dragon. However, Yu Haoran could clearly sense that the aura of the dragon origin, which had used the milky white energy to restore its original divine dragon form, had been weakened by nearly a third. However, due to the enormous size of the spirit source and the fact that his body-spirit vein was beneath his feet, although his aura was weakened by a third, his strength did not decrease by much. Damned human! How dare you hurt the great divine dragon? Ling Yuan, who had returned to his divine dragon form, roared at Yu Haoran in a thunderous voice. Yu Haoran could not help but spit when he heard Ling Yuan call himself a divine dragon. His monkey face was full of contempt as he mocked him. How dare a piece of trash like you, who can't even compare to a worm, call yourself a divine dragon? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? You are not worthy. Human, you deserve to die. The furious Ling Yuan cursed in a monotonous tone. Ever since he had gained sentience, other than the enchanted beast, Ling Yuan had rarely come into contact with other living beings, let alone humans who were good at expressing themselves. Therefore, in the face of Yu Haoran's vicious humiliation, he could only use the words deserve to die or detestable to express his anger. Worm, you can't decide whether I deserve to die or not. However, it's your turn to die now. Ling Yuan twirled the do-what-I-wish rod in his hand in a circle before squatting down again. After that, Yu Haoran wielded the do-what-I-wish rod again and launched a second round of storm-like attacks. Fortunately, Ling Yuan was aware of his disadvantage and began to consciously shrink his body. That way, not only would he be able to condense his strength, but it would also be easier for him to counterattack and evade. Unfortunately, the do-what-I-wish rod was a ritual weapon personally refined by the Monkey Emperor in recent times. Although it had been severely damaged and its grade had been lowered, the do-what-I-wish rod's battle instincts had not disappeared. Moreover, when paired with the Vajra monkey, which was also a monkey-type beast, the do-what-I-wish rod's power had also reached the level of a high Emperor-level ritual weapon. Therefore, even though Ling Yuan had shrunk his body and increased his speed, he still could not dodge every strike from the do-what-I-wish rod. By the time Yu Haoran returned to the spirit vein, Ling Yuan, who was hovering in midair, had reverted to his miserable state. Ling Yuan, who cherished his appearance, used the same method to transform himself back into a divine dragon. However, after using up half of his energy, Ling Yuan's martial emperor aura had dropped to 9th rank martial king. After Ling Yuan suffered the same attack a second time and was unable to retaliate, the enchanted beast, who had been hiding in the spirit mist and observing the battle, revealed a trace of hesitation on its adorable face. It looked back and forth between Yu Haoran and Ling Yuan 3 times. In particular, Ling Yuan had expended too much of his origin energy to maintain his form, causing his cultivation to drop to martial king. The enchanted beast's hesitation finally turned into determination. It waved its hand at the spirit vein, and 2 ancient-looking rings fell into its palm. Big brother Ling Yuan, I'm sorry. The enchanted beast looked up at Ling Yuan with a sorrowful expression. After that, the enchanted beast's body, which was standing in the spirit mist, gradually turned illusory and finally disappeared completely. Damned human, you forced me to do this. Ling Yuan was furious when he sensed that his aura had dropped to martial king, but he was not too worried. This was because the spirit vein below him was his main body. If he wanted to return to martial king, he only needed to burn a part of the spirit vein. However, after the second clash, Ling Yuan knew that the reason he was always at a disadvantage was not because he was not strong enough, but because he lacked a suitable weapon. Or rather, he lacked a weapon that could block the staff of my will. Thus, after Ling Yuan had learned his lesson twice, he no longer acted arrogantly. As he threatened Yu Haoran, he used his mind to connect with the magic tool he had stored in his storage ring. He hadn't had the time to refine it yet. However, just as he was connecting with the weapon, Ling Yuan suddenly realized that the weak connection between him and the weapon had been severed. Although he did not know much about weapons, Ling Yuan knew that the loss of connection between his mind and the weapon meant that the weapon had been taken away by someone else. Ling Yuan could not help but grimace when he thought of the storage ring that stored the weapon had been hidden in the depths of the spirit vein. Chapter 264. Inside the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Inside the superior level 5 spiritual vein. The spiritual source unexpectedly turned around and flew into the spirit fog, causing Yu Haoran, who was about to launch his third attack, to continue ravaging his opponent, to be stunned. He then scratched his head in confusion. Yu Haoran, there's no need to be confused. That's because the superior level 5 spiritual veins lifetime collection has all been stolen by the enchanted beast. Just as Yu Haoran was puzzled as to why the spiritual source would suddenly return to the spirit fog, Thaling's voice came from his sea of consciousness. Although the spiritual source's cultivation had broken through to the superior level 5 and had condensed a spirit body, possessing the divine sense of a martial emperor, Thaling didn't dare to casually use his divine sense to check. However, just as the spiritual source flew out of the spirit fog and was temporarily unable to take care of the spirit fog under Yu Haoran's fierce attacks and ravages, the spiritual source had flown out of the spirit fog. Thaling had secretly used his divine sense to keep an eye on the situation in the spirit fog and happened to see the enchanted beast taking away the 2 storage rings. Thinking of how the enchanted beast and the superior level 5 spiritual vein had lived in the demon-sealing secret realm for hundreds of years, there must be a large amount of precious cultivation resources and spiritual herbs in the storage rings. Considering that the spiritual source was in the superior level 5 spiritual vein's main body and still had a chance to turn the tables, he didn't immediately warn Yu Haoran. However, before the enchanted beast left, he used his divine sense to leave a mark on the enchanted beast's body so that it would be easier for him to chase after it in the future. Serves you right. After hearing Thaling's explanation, Yu Haoran's first reaction was that the superior level 5 spiritual vein had brought this upon itself. Although the enchanted beast had the heaven-defying ability to control the minds of living creatures, its main body was extremely weak and couldn't even compare to a superior level 10 first-rank exotic beast. This caused it to have to think of all ways to protect itself. At the same time, when it controlled the minds of living creatures, it could also directly read the memories of living creatures. This caused it to be affected by the memories of living creatures when it read the memories. If the creature reading its memories was an upright gentleman, the enchanted beast might be able to become a kind exotic beast. However, the cruel reality made it so that not many living beings in the entire profound sky continent could stay true to their hearts. At least, Yu Haoran had never seen such a person. Therefore, when he found out that the enchanted beast was going to use the disciples as blood sacrifices, he knew that the level 5 upper spiritual vein would be killed by the enchanted beast sooner or later. Thaling, what should we do next? Since Yu Haoran did not know the specific situation inside the spirit fog, he did not dare to enter the spirit fog rashly. He could only ask Thaling for help. What else can we do? Chase after him. Thaling criticized angrily. Even at this point, he was still worried. Regarding this, Yu Haoran did not mind. He instructed the red redwood boar beside him to stay and take care of Lin Mengyao. Then, he rushed into the spirit fog with the do-what-I-wish rod in hand. However, just as he rushed into the spirit fog, the do-what-I-wish rod in his hand started to crazily devour the spirit chi in the spirit fog like a hungry ghost that had not eaten for 3 months. Yu Haoran, this spirit mist is the result of a grade 5 spirit vein's ability to absorb spirit energy. It's purposefully transformed into pure spirit energy. Its quality is almost equivalent to a grade 5 spirit stone. And this kind of spirit chi that has been absorbed by the level 5 upper spiritual vein has a very obvious effect, whether it is used to increase one's cultivation and strength or to heal injuries. Seeing Yu Haoran's shock at the do-what-I-wish rod's automatic absorption of the spirit fog, Thaling hurriedly explained. Thaling, since the spirit fog has an obvious healing effect on magic tools, why don't you quickly absorb some of it and use it to heal Victor's injuries? Hearing that the spirit fog had a healing effect, Howren hurriedly reminded Thaling of Victor's injuries that had not yet healed. Howren, this spirit fog's healing effect can only be used on magic tools below the Emperor level. It has no effect on my main body, Victor. Thaling shook his head and hinted. Although the spirit fog did not have any healing effect on Victor, Thaling's unintentional words just now had revealed a secret about him. That was that Victor was an existence that surpassed Emperor-level weapons. Although he had always suspected that Victor was an existence that surpassed Emperor-level weapons, he had never received Thaling's personal confirmation. Now that he knew that Victor was an existence that surpassed Emperor-level weapons, it was at least a divine artifact. Thinking about how he was able to obtain a divine artifact with the power of the law of time after his rebirth, Howren was overjoyed, but he also rejoiced in his heart. Since the spirit fog had no effect on Victor, it was even more important to pursue the upper level 5 spirit vein. Thus, Howren forcibly put away the do-what-I-wish rod that was absorbing spirit fog and continued to advance towards the depths of the spirit fog, according to Thaling's guidance. Forcibly putting away the do-what-I-wish rod was not because Howren did not value it, nor was it because its grade was too low. It was entirely because there were certain limitations to using the do-what-I-wish rod. If he did not use a secret transformation technique or use the Vajra monkey's blood essence, the do-what-I-wish rod was only a relatively sturdy magic tool that was at most a low-level Grandmaster realm magic tool. Therefore, compared to capturing or killing the upper-level 5 spirit vein, the healing of the do-what-I-wish rod was not that important. The upper-level 5 spirit vein had only developed consciousness for about 100 years, so the amount of spirit fog it could absorb was not much. Even with large strides, Howren, who had transformed into the Vajra monkey, arrived at the core of the spirit fog, in front of a cave that led to the depths of the spirit vein. Measuring the size of the cave, Howren helplessly discovered that if he wanted to enter the spirit vein, he would have to shrink his body, which meant he would have to stop using the secret transformation technique. Although the spirit vein had been ravaged by him twice, causing its grade to drop to level 6, it was still not something he could deal with after using the secret transformation technique. His true strength was only at level 4 Martial Master. I'll risk it. Looking at the bottomless cave, Howren did not hesitate for too long. He quickly dispersed the power of the Vajra monkey's blood essence and decided to take the risk and enter. After his body returned to normal, Howren did not enter the cave. Instead, he carefully sensed the backlash from the secret transformation technique. After seeing the situation in his body, Howren's face revealed a trace of joy. After activating 70% of the Vajra monkey's blood essence and raising his strength to level 1 Martial King, it only consumed a lot of Yuan Li in his Dantian. His meridians, blood vessels, internal organs, and Dantian did not suffer any backlash. This made Howren, who was originally worried about the dangers of entering the spirit vein, feel relieved. He gathered the Vajra monkey's blood essence that he had dispersed. Although there was not much left of the second drop of Vajra monkey's blood essence after using it several times, it was enough for him to use it again. Chapter 265. Inside the Blue Moon's Secret Realm, inside the upper rank 5 spirit vein. Compared to the pure spirit chi in the spirit mist, Howren discovered that the spirit chi in the cave was very thin. It was almost the same as the spirit chi at the entrance of the spirit vein. Helpless, Howren could only take out an elixir to recover his spirit chi. Under the guidance of Thaling, he quickened his pace to chase after the spirit vein. The cave leading to the spirit vein source was very deep. Even with the support of the initial stage martial skill, Howren spent nearly 10 minutes to reach the end of the cave. The concentration of spirit chi at the end of the cave was almost the same as the spirit chi in the spirit mist. However, because of the space, it was unable to reach the spirit chi level. Thaling, is there any danger? When he was 30 meters away from the end of the cave, Howren stopped and asked Thaling while preparing to activate the Vajra monkey's blood essence. Goin, the spirit vein of the upper rank 5 spirit vein seems to be a little abnormal. Thaling, who had been observing with his divine sense, frowned and said. Although Thaling said that there was no problem, Howard did not let his guard down. He took out the do as I wish rod and a black birth ball that was infused with the slaughter spirit pill. He also scattered the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his 7 meridians so that he could transform in the shortest time possible. After everything was ready, Howard stepped into the end of the cave. Comfortable. When his legs reached the end of the cave, Howard felt a sense of comfort that opened up all the pores in his body, causing him to almost moan out loud. Fortunately, he knew that the current situation was special, so he quickly calmed his chi and focused his mind to observe the situation inside the cave. If the spirit chi of heaven and earth was concentrated to a certain extent, it could form spirit chi that was visible to the naked eye. If the spirit chi of heaven and earth was concentrated to a certain extent, it could form spirit water in a liquid state. Inside the cave, which was not very large, the density of heaven and earth spirit chi was so high that half of it was vaporized and the other half was liquefied. The reason why he was unable to control his mind earlier was entirely because his body was immersed in the liquid spirit water. The spirit water instantly nourished his body, causing his mind to lose control for a short period of time. Thaling, why didn't you remind me? Although the time he lost his mind was very short, if he were to encounter danger during that time, he would not be able to resist at all. Therefore, he could not help but complain to Thaling. Howard, if there is any danger, I will let you take the risk and enter the cave. Don't tell me that I, who can use my divine sense, don't know the specific situation inside. In response to Howard's complaints, Thaling retorted rather unhappily. In response to Thaling's rebuttal, Howard thought for a moment and knew that he had overthought it. He scratched his head and laughed awkwardly, then began to observe the situation around him. Spirit water was a liquid spirit water formed when the density and purity of heaven and earth spirit chi reached a certain level. It contained very little impurities, so it was very clear. Through the clear liquid spirit water, Howard discovered that the space he had entered was actually a hollowed-out cave. The area of the cave was not very large, only about 1,000 square meters. However, on the surrounding walls of the cave, there were hundreds of fist-sized spirit stones exposed. In the center of the cave, there was a crystal clear jade bed that emitted traces of cold air. On the jade bed, Ling Yuan, whose body had shrunk to the size of a small snake, was lying on the jade bed with a numb expression. In response to Howard, who had barged into the cave, it did not have the slightest reaction. Although the fist-sized spirit stones exposed on the surrounding walls above his head and were the same color and luster made him very tempted. Not only did Howard ignore them, he instead directly swam to Ling Yuan's side. Looking at Ling Yuan's empty and lifeless eyes, Howard could not help but sigh. Then he turned around and left Ling Yuan, then swam directly to the walls of the cave, intending to collect the exposed spirit stones. This was because the lowest grade of the exposed spirit stones was exactly the same as the spirit stones he had obtained on the 5th level of the law enforcement peak. In other words, all the spirit stones exposed on the walls were the top grade of rank 4 and above. Moreover, the closer he got to the top of the cave, the larger the color and size of the exposed spirit stones and the higher the grade. Howard, why don't you destroy the spirit of the upper grade rank 5 spiritual pulse? Seeing Howard turn around and leave without the slightest intention of caring about the spirit of the upper grade rank 5 spiritual pulse, Thaling was very puzzled. Thaling, don't you see? Howard turned his head and pointed at Ling Yuan, his tone full of pity. He's already crippled. Isn't it just a 100-year-old collection that was stolen by the enchanted beast? Do you have to take it so hard? Howard's conclusion made Thaling unable to understand. After all, with the strength of the upper grade rank 5 spiritual pulse and the innumerable treasures of heaven and earth in the Blue Moon secret realm, it was not difficult to collect some treasures again. It was not to the extent that he would be unable to recover from the loss of a 100-year-old collection. Fouling, although you have a lot of knowledge and experience, you don't know much about the feelings between living creatures. Yu Howren sighed and explained while climbing up the wall and using the new lower-grade king's domain sword to start digging for spirit stones. According to my speculation, the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse was probably discovered by the enchanted beast the moment it developed consciousness. And in the next 100 years, the enchanted beast must have been by his side, teaching him how to recognize himself, how to distinguish things, and how to cultivate. 100 years of companionship. In the consciousness of the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse, the enchanted beast was not only a friend, not only a brother, but also a parent. Moreover, the special environment of the Blue Moon secret realm and the deliberate isolation of the enchanted beast caused the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse to have little contact with other living creatures. So his mind remained in his childhood. Childhood is the time when one is most dependent on their parents. In fact, what really made the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse despair was not that the enchanted beast stole his 100-year-old collection, but that it abandoned him at the critical moment. For the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse, who only had a childhood mind, this kind of abandonment was more painful than directly killing him. Speaking of the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse's experience, Yu Howren suddenly thought of the tragedy that happened to him and sighed sympathetically. He was so disheartened that he was even worse than an ordinary beast. What was the difference between killing him and not killing him? After hearing Yu Howren's explanation, Thaling, as a weapon spirit, did not quite understand, but what he was most concerned about now was how to restore the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse to normal. Yu Howren, how can we restore the upper-grade rank 5 spiritual pulse? It's very simple to restore him to normal. As long as you can bring the enchanted beast to him and free him from his sadness and horror, he will be able to return to normal. Chapter 266. Everyone, there's no need to wait any longer. Inside the cave. Yu Howren, stop digging. Let's capture the enchanted beast now. Thaling said excitedly when he heard that the only way to restore the upper rank 5 spirit vein was to let the enchanted beast stand in front of the upper rank 5 spirit vein again. Thaling, don't you know what this is? Yu Howren asked in dissatisfaction as he pointed at the spirit stone that he had just dug out. Isn't it just a rank 4 spirit stone? Thaling replied indifferently, as if he did not care at all. Since you know that this is a rank 4 spirit stone, then you should know how precious and rare it is. Why don't you take advantage of this rare opportunity to store more? After the Blue Moon secret realm closes, if you want to obtain spirit stones of this level, other than some forbidden places, you can only go to the spirit veins guarded by the top 7 sects and the inherited families. Thaling's indifferent tone made Yu Howren angry as he reprimanded him. Do you want me to challenge a faction that has a martial honorable realm expert and countless martial saints at the peak of the martial saint realm? Yu Howren, I'll give you a choice now. Facing Yu Howren's reprimand, Thaling was not angry. Instead, he gave him a choice. Speak. Taking a deep breath, Yu Howren knew that he was blaming Thaling because the rank 4 spirit stones were in an unstable state. Therefore, after adjusting his state of mind, his tone returned to normal. Either you choose a lower rank zone realm natal weapon with an artifact spirit, or I'll just have to dig out these 104th grade spirit stones. Thaling, you're not joking, right? Hearing Thaling's 2 choices, Yu Howren could not help but gulp as he asked in disbelief. Although he didn't know much about the art of refining weapons in his past life, he had read a lot of information about refining weapons during his time in the weapon refining sect. It was not impossible for a zone realm magic weapon to possess a weapon spirit. However, there were 3 extremely harsh conditions. The first condition was the need for materials for zone realm artifacts. In order for a Grandmaster realm artifact to possess an artifact spirit, the materials needed to refine it could be said to be the best and most precious in the Tianxian continent. It could even be said that the materials were difficult to be produced in the Tianxian continent. Moreover, this kind of material was very rare. Some weapon refiners who had reached the level of a master might not be able to find a suitable material to refine a magic weapon of this level in their lifetime. However, he recalled that he had once obtained a piece of 9 Heaven Star obsidian from the U-Clan's treasury. It was formed from the core of an exploding star. So, it had satisfied the first harsh requirement. The second requirement was the need for an artifact spirit. There were 2 ways to form an artifact spirit for an artifact. The first was through years of tempering and cultivation. When the artifact reached a certain level, an artifact spirit with self-consciousness would be born from the inside of the artifact. The artifact spirit contained within the artifact could be said to be the child of the artifact's user. Not only could it allow the user to better unleash the power of the artifact, but the artifact spirit's cultivation and strength would also increase as the user's cultivation and strength increased. More importantly, the artifact spirit formed naturally from the artifact would be equivalent to the existence of an Emperor Realm expert when the artifact spirit's consciousness had fully matured. If the user of the artifact died and the artifact spirit did not suffer too much damage, then the force that owned the artifact spirit would have the existence of an Emperor Realm expert. In an environment where honored realm experts lived in seclusion and Emperor Realm experts had a hard time breaking through, the reason why the 7 great sects, 3 great empires, and 9 great inherited families have been able to stand for tens of thousands of years was not only because of the multiplication of geniuses, but also because these forces more or less had 1 or 2 Emperor Realm weapons that had naturally formed an artifact spirit. Of course, if Yuhauran's Asmaiwal Rod could be damaged and regain its artifact spirit, it would not be impossible for it to regain its former glory as an Emperor Realm weapon, but the process would be very difficult. The second method was to use the spirit of a living creature to forcefully fuse with the artifact and use the spirit to control the artifact, becoming the artifact's artifact spirit. However, this method had even more stringent requirements on the spirit. This was because the spirit of an ordinary living creature could not be fused with the artifact at all. Only those born naturally could. Thinking of this, Yuhauran could not help but glance at the little snake lying on the jade bed. The third stringent requirement was for the artificer. In order to make a low-grade zone realm artifact possess an artifact spirit, the artificer had to be at least at the peak of the honored realm, or even the Emperor Realm. Thaling, are you a peak honored realm artificer? Although he knew that Thaling was proficient in artifact forging, Yuhauran had never thought that his skill level would be so high. At this moment, Yuhauran finally thought of this when he was considering the stringent requirements for making a low-grade zone realm artifact possess an artifact spirit. Haha, Thaling only chuckled in response to Yuhauran's questioning and did not give a direct answer. Putting away the low-grade king realm sword, Yuhauran jumped into the liquid spirit water and swam to the entrance of the cave. Thaling, where has the enchanted beast fled to now? I've thought it through. Seeing that Yuhauran had made the right choice, Thaling was very satisfied. But when he thought of how Yuhauran had questioned his decision just now, he could not help but tease him. Haha! Laughing foolishly, Yuhauran did not refute and simply sped up to leave the cave. After leaving the spirit mist, Yuhauran solemnly discussed with the red redwood boar, Brother Boar, although there is no danger in the spirit vein, there is a very important treasure in the depths of the spirit vein that I cannot take away for the time being. So, I hope that you can guard the entrance of the cave and prevent any living creatures from entering. Rue. The red redwood boar grunted a few times and signaled Yuhauran to be at ease, then carried Lin Mengyao into the spirit mist. Brother Boar, this spirit mist is still the pure spirit energy from a high-grade tier 5 spirit vein. It can be used to greatly increase one's cultivation and strength. Seeing that the red redwood boar was about to enter the spirit mist, Yuhauran could not help but remind it in a loud voice. Rue. The red redwood boar grunted as it entered the spirit mist. Turning around, Yuhauran circulated the essence force in his dantian and asked direction. Southeast. Thaling gave him the direction to pursue. With his movement technique at the pinnacle of greater mastery, Yuhauran transformed into a gust of wind and quickly left the spirit mist and the spirit vein entering the depths of the secret realm. The enchanted beast, which had escaped about 5,000 li from the spirit vein, stood on a small hill that was not very tall and could not help but cast its gaze in the direction of the high-grade tier 5 spirit vein. Although the enchanted beast had an ulterior motive for nurturing the spirit vein, after living together for 100 years, it was impossible for it not to have feelings for the spirit vein. However, when it thought of Howren, who had transformed into the Vajram monkey, whose strength had reached the first grade of tier 5, and who also possessed profound staff techniques, the trace of sadness in the enchanted beast's eyes instantly disappeared. Chapter 267. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Palace, I hope that when I see you again, your personality is in the original wood attribute. Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble. After muttering to itself, the enchanted beast's figure gradually disappeared from the small hill. 3 hours later, Howren stood on the small hill where the enchanted beast had previously stopped. Howren, 3 hours ago, the enchanted beast stopped here. However, the time it stayed was very short. Through the tracking method left on the enchanted beast, Thowling quickly discovered the remnant aura of the enchanted beast on the hill. Thowling, we can't continue chasing like this. Although he had discovered the remnant aura of the enchanted beast and confirmed the route of the enchanted beast's escape, Howren's face did not have the slightest hint of joy. Through this period of chasing, Howren knew that although the enchanted beast's strength was not strong, its speed was extremely outstanding. If not for the fact that he had accidentally encountered a 7th-level first-grade Galegrass when he had left the spiritual vein and had used the special energy of the Galegrass to break through to the pinnacle of the greater mastery martial technique, he would not have been able to chase for 5,000 miles in short 3 hours. Sigh, it's not like there's no other way. After all, the suppression of the secret realm's rules did not allow you to transform into the Vajram monkey and use flying techniques. It also did not allow me to use the power of my divine sense to help you move forward. I could only rely on the speed of my martial technique to slowly chase after it. In the face of Howren's complaints, Thowling was also rather helpless. This was because he did not expect that the enchanted beast that had escaped had not stopped at all and had continued to go deeper into the secret realm. This forced Howren to continue chasing after it. Forget it, let's continue chasing. He was only complaining because of the frustration and unhappiness of the chase. If he wanted to directly refine a low-grade zone realm magic weapon with a weapon spirit when his cultivation broke through to the martial ancestor realm, this little bit of frustration and unhappiness was nothing. On a grassland more than 1,000 miles away from the spirit cave in the depths of the secret realm, the enchanted beast's cute face revealed an expression of anger and regret. This was because in front of him stood a giant white wolf that was 6 meters tall. It was completely white and exuded a hint of a king's aura. If Pallas was the ruler of the entire demon-sealing mystic realm, then the giant white wolf was the king of the demon-sealing mystic realm. At the same time, it was also the second powerful exotic beast in the demon-sealing secret realm that could use its own strength to force the secret realm's laws to take a step back and eliminate the restrictions of the grassland's laws. One lived in a high-level 5 spirit vein, while the other lived in the deepest part of the secret realm. One liked to control the minds of living beings, while the other specialized in physical attacks. Originally, the enchanted beast and the giant white wolf rarely came into contact with each other. But 30 years ago, in a valley about 2,000 kilometers away from this grassland, a fierce conflict broke out because of a 7th-rank, first-rank soul cleansing fruit. The soul cleansing fruit was one of the few top spirit fruits in the demon-sealing mystic realm that could purify the impurities of the soul and strengthen the soul's constitution. Controlling the minds of living beings required a very strong soul power. But due to the restrictions of the demon-sealing mystic realm, the enchanted beast's mind was unable to break through. The soul-cleansing fruit was what allowed it to break through the restrictions of the secret realm's laws. It allowed it to condense spirit power in advance when it was at the ninth rank of the ninth rank. Therefore, it relied on controlling a large number of exotic beasts and self-detonating to obtain the soul-cleansing fruit in the end. It was also because of the struggle for the soul-cleansing fruit that an irreconcilable conflict arose between them. However, in the enchanted beast's opinion, offending the giant white wolf was no big deal. With the assistance of a high-level 5-spirit vein, condensed spirit power, and decades of preparation, it would be able to escape the demon-sealing mystic realm sooner or later. It was unlikely that it would meet the giant white wolf again in the future, but it never imagined that it would be forced to come to this grassland one day and be blocked by its enemy, the giant white wolf. The enchanted beast let out a baby-like cry at the giant white wolf. It intended to negotiate and make the giant white wolf open up a path to the secret realm's spirit cave for it. Mihan, it's been 30 years. The spirit power condensed from the soul, cleansing fruit, still can't make you speak human language. It seems that your aptitude is also trash. After hearing the enchanted beast cry, a trace of disdain flashed across the giant white wolf's very human-like face. Then, the giant white wolf raised its head and spoke in a very arrogant manner. Mihan, you know that I, a white wolf, never communicate with uncivilized exotic beasts. Go back. After hearing the giant white wolf's disdainful mockery, the enchanted beast's cute face flushed with anger. It didn't know if it was because of its innate talent or because of the demon-sealing secret realm's special suppression on it. But even after condensing the spirit power, it was difficult for it to speak human language like other exotic beasts. This was the main reason why it was in a hurry to leave the demon-sealing secret realm. It wanted to try and see if it could change its embarrassing state of being unable to speak after leaving the demon-sealing secret realm. Therefore, even though it was angry and wanted to turn around and leave, in order to get rid of Yuhauran's pursuit and to see Palace as soon as possible, it couldn't. The enchanted beast could only forcibly suppress the anger in its heart. Then, it closed its eyes and began to search for exotic beasts on the grassland. In the end, a 9th-rank, 1st-rank Earth-Splitter rat appeared in its divine telekinesis. The powerful spirit power directly controlled the Earth-Splitter rat's mind. Then, the Earth-Splitter rat communicated with the giant white wolf on its behalf. White wolf, how can you let me pass through the grassland and enter the secret realm's spirit cave? Enchanted beast, I seem to remember that Brother Scarlet had just entered the secret realm's spirit cave yesterday. Today, you're in such a hurry. Either Brother Scarlet Swallow is in trouble, or you're in trouble. But considering Brother Scarlet Swallow's invincible strength in the demon-sealing secret realm, it's impossible for him to encounter any trouble in the entire secret realm. So, the one who's in trouble is you. Seeing that the enchanted beast directly asked for a condition, the shrewd giant white wolf immediately realized the key factor in this. Then, he directly stated his guess, hoping to gain an absolute advantage in the following negotiations. After all, he knew that the enchanted beast and Palace had a close relationship. Without any conflict of interest, he couldn't stop the enchanted beast from passing through the grassland and entering the spirit cave in the depths of the secret realm. That's right, White Wolf. I'm sure I'm in trouble, so please tell me your condition. Seeing that the giant white wolf had guessed the predicament it was in, the enchanted beast knew that it was in trouble. It knew that it was because it was in too much of a hurry and exposed too many flaws. However, since it was going to negotiate with the white wolf, it wasn't afraid of him asking for too much. Therefore, the enchanted beast was even more direct. Soul-cleansing fruit of the 7th rank 1st rank, scorching grass of the 7th rank 9th rank, purifying flower of the 8th rank 1st rank, and 1,000 4th rank 1st rank to 9th rank spiritual stones. Chapter 268. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Impossible. Hearing the white wolf's request, the enchanted beast didn't even consider it as it shook its head and refused. Enchanted beast, you don't even consider it before rejecting it. You're too insincere. Although the white wolf knew that the conditions it had proposed were excessive and left room for negotiation, the enchanted beast didn't even consider it for a second before rejecting it. This made the white wolf extremely unhappy. White wolf, don't you think that the conditions you've proposed are excessive? The soul-cleansing fruit that can help condense the power of the soul can only appear once every 100 years in the demon-sealing secret realm. I've already consumed this one 30 years ago. Now, where do you want me to find a soul-cleansing fruit? Furthermore, the scorching flame grass and the purifying vitality flower are the same as the soul-cleansing fruit. They also need 100 years to appear. Now, they've already fallen into the hands of the palace. Do you want me to take them from the palace? As for the 4th level spirit stones, the spirit source can only produce 30 or so in a year. 20 of them require the spirit source to continue the growth of the spirit vein. Hearing the white wolf's displeasure, the enchanted beast wasn't only displeased, it even retorted angrily. So, I can only offer 100 4th level spirit stones at most. Don't even think about it. A mere 100 4th level spirit stones at most. You want me to temporarily let go of the grudge of stealing the fruit from 30 years ago? You're delusional. Faced with the enchanted beast conditions that were far lower than what he had expected, the white wolf decided to end the negotiation in a fit of anger. After all, the enchanted beast now needed his help. He had all the time in the world to waste time with the other party. After more than half an hour, seeing that the enchanted beast didn't relent, the white wolf simply crawled on the ground and closed his eyes to sleep. He didn't seem to be in a hurry at all. Seeing the white wolf crawling on the ground and pretending to sleep, the enchanted beast, who had been persevering, revealed a trace of anxiety on its face. Although he did not know how long the spiritual origin could last, with Yuhauran's Vajra monkey transformation and his strength of a first-grade martial king, as well as his rich combat experience, the spiritual origin could not last long. Although the enchanted beast had fled decisively and promptly, and it had done its best to conceal its aura as it ventured deeper into the demon-sealing secret land, the enchanted beast knew that there was an exotic beast in the demon-sealing secret land that knew about it very well. Furthermore, that exotic beast had a pretty good relationship with Yuhauran. If Yuhauran returned to that place after failing to find him, the exotic beast that bore a grudge against him would definitely be able to guess his intentions. Therefore, he was worried that Yuhauran, who could transform into an exotic beast, would have a way to increase his speed. After spending another hour with each other, the enchanted beast suddenly became vigilant. As an exotic beast that had condensed the power of the soul and was proficient in soul techniques, the enchanted beast knew that the hint of vigilance in its heart just now meant that danger was approaching. And the source of the approaching danger might very well be what it had guessed. Therefore, the enchanted beast could only choose to compromise in the end and take the initiative to make concession. A stalk of flamebear grass that can increase the grade of the physical body, a drop of blood essence from a 5th grade, 1st grade spiritual vein, and 204th grade 1st grade to 6th grade spiritual stones. This is my bottom line. Let me think about it. Hearing the price that the enchanted beast was willing to pay, the white wolf was instantly delighted, because the number and value of these treasures far exceeded his expectations. However, the enchanted beast was willing to take out so many treasures in exchange for entering the spirit cave of the secret land to find the way to palace. This meant that he had encountered a lot of trouble. This was a rare opportunity, so the white wolf planned to take advantage of it to extort more. How about this? Enchanted beast, I won't be greedy. I know your relationship with the spiritual origin, and I also know its methods. Add another 50 kilograms of pure spiritual liquid, and we'll forget the grudge between us from 30 years ago. How about that? All right. Sensing the trace of danger approaching, the enchanted beast couldn't be bothered to feel the pinch and directly nodded in agreement. And the enchanted beast's straightforward agreement made the white wolf realize that the trouble the enchanted beast had encountered was far more serious than he had imagined. It might even threaten his life. Although he was regretting that his request was a little too low, The white wolf was still an exotic beast that kept his promise. Therefore, after the enchanted beast took out the spiritual herbs, spiritual stones, and spiritual liquid, the white wolf also gave up the path to the spirit cave of the secret land. White wolf, there are quite a lot of spiritual stones and spiritual liquid. You should count them carefully. Don't say that I lied to you after this. The enchanted beast glanced behind him from the corner of its eyes, and a hint of a scheme appeared in its originally anxious expression. Therefore, it used this method to provoke the white wolf to not be in a hurry to keep the treasures it had just exchanged. Faced with the enchanted beast's provocation, the white wolf didn't refute it verbally. However, when he thought of the enchanted beast's sinister and cunning personality, he immediately checked the treasures the enchanted beast had handed over. Seeing that the white wolf had indeed fallen for its trick, the enchanted beast's cute beastly face revealed a trace of a scheming smile. Then, it quickly disappeared from the spot. Less than 10 minutes after the enchanted beast disappeared, a black dot suddenly flew over from the distant sky of the grassland. The black dot was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived at the place where the enchanted beast had been. Suddenly sensing the black dot approaching, the white wolf, who was carefully inspecting and admiring his gains, couldn't help but look up. Then, he realized that the rapidly approaching black dot was the purple golden condor, the overlord of a mountain range thousands of kilometers away from the grassland. However, what really surprised the white wolf wasn't why the purple golden condor, the overlord of the mountain range, would appear on the grassland, but the human cultivator on its back. As the overlord of the sky in the demon-sealing secret realm, whose strength wasn't much lower than its own, how could the purple golden condor allow someone to stand on its back? Woo! With a long cry, the purple golden condor, with a wingspan of more than 20 meters, slowly landed in front of the white wolf. Howren jumped down from the purple golden condor's back and took out a top-notch healing pill from his storage ear before feeding it to the purple golden condor. Then, he gently patted its wings and thanked it gratefully. Brother Condor, thank you. Equal exchange, no need to thank me. In response to Howren's thanks, the purple golden condor shook its head and swallowed the pill. Okay, Brother Condor, you can go back now. Understanding the purple golden condor's meaning of equal exchange, Howren didn't stand on ceremony and directly indicated that it could go back now. Okay, if you run into any trouble, you can go directly to the cliff to find me. After being polite, the purple golden condor flapped its wings and flew away from the grassland. Howren, there are two situations now. Just as the purple golden condor flew away from the grassland, the Thaling in his knowledge reminded him. Not only is the enchanted beast's aura present, but it has been less than 10 minutes since he left. That's great. Chapter 269. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. The enchanted beast had not left for more than 10 minutes. After hearing Thaling's analysis, Howren was overjoyed and could not help but heave a sigh of relief. If not for the fact that he had coincidentally encountered the heavily injured and unconscious purple golden condor in the process of chasing the enchanted beast and used healing elixirs and alchemy techniques to heal him, he would have been willing to send him on his way. It was simply impossible to fly across tens of thousands of miles in less than an hour. Now that he had finally caught up to the enchanted beast, it was not in vain that he had temporarily given up on the level 4 spirit stones in the cave. It was also not in vain that he had spent so much effort to save the purple golden condor. Howren, the second situation is that this grassland is exactly the same as the Red Rocks. It has also offset a portion of the secret realm's rules, allowing me to use the power of my divine sense. And this situation shows that this huge white wolf, whose strength cannot be seen through, is probably a terrifying beast that is not inferior to the purple golden condor. Just as Howren was rejoicing, Thaling's grave warning suddenly sounded in his mind. However, Howren did not panic because of Thaling's warning. He first tried to see if he could activate the Vajram monkey's blood essence in his body. Luckily, The grassland offset the rules of the secret technique, allowing him to activate the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his body. This allowed him to calmly face the huge white wolf in front of him. You look at me, I look at you. Yu Haoran's gaze only swept across the spirit medicine, spirit stones, and spirit liquid placed in front of the white wolf. There was not a trace of greed in his eyes. The giant white wolf looked at Yu Haoran with interest in its eyes, but there was no hostility at all. Senior, I would like to enter the secret realm's spirit cave. Is that possible? After looking at each other for nearly a minute, Yu Haoran broke the silence with a respectful expression and asked first, Human cultivator, are you chasing after the enchanting beast? The white wolf asked meaningfully, neither agreeing nor rejecting Zhang Xian's request. That's right. The enchanted beast captured all the disciples who were training in the secret realm and prepared to use the blood sacrifice technique to leave the Blue Moon secret realm. Among the captured disciples, there are my junior brothers and my relatives. Some of them have already lost their lives, so I have no choice but to... Human warrior, the grudge between you and the enchanted beast has nothing to do with me, the giant white wolf said impatiently, interrupting Yu Haoran's explanation. Although I don't know what means you have to be able to chase the enchanted beast into the depths of the secret realm with the cultivation of a peak 9th grade martial warrior. Since you have such means, it means you have the ability to kill the enchanted beast. At this point, the giant white wolf put away the spiritual medicine, spiritual stones, and spiritual liquid placed in front of him, then stood up and ordered in a condescending manner. Human warrior, if you want to enter my territory and enter the depths of the secret realm, you can. But I have a condition. Senior, please say it. Being oppressed by the giant white wolf's condescending manner, although he was not very comfortable, in order to enter the spirit cave in the depths of the secret realm as soon as possible and capture the enchanted beast, Yu Haoran could only choose to endure for now. In the storage space of the enchanted beast, there is a 6th level 1st grade transformation grass. I want you to give this transformation grass to me after you kill the enchanted beast. When the transformation grass was mentioned, the giant white wolf's breathing quickened. Senior, are you sure there is a transformation grass in the storage space of the enchanted beast? Yu Haoran asked in disbelief. The transformation grass was a very unique spiritual medicine. It had no effect on human warriors, but to other creatures, it could be said to be the most desirable spiritual medicine in the world. This was because the transformation grass could allow them to transform into the shape of a human when they reached the 8th level. As the lord of all creatures, the structure of the human body was the most suitable physique for cultivation. For example, an exotic beast with the bloodline of an emperor would need about 10 years to advance from the 10th level 1st grade to the 9th level 1st grade. For human warriors, even the most ordinary ones would need at most 2 to 3 years to advance from the martial disciple realm to the martial warrior realm. For a peerless genius like Yu Haoran with outstanding talent and aptitude, it would only take a few months. The difference in time between the two was more than 10 times. Whether it was a super exotic beast with the bloodline of an emperor or an ordinary exotic beast with an ordinary bloodline, they were all crazy about the transformation grass. However, the quantity of the transformation grass was comparable to that of a martial god expert. It was just that they had only heard of it. In his previous life, Yu Haoran had explored many ruins, forbidden lands, and countless secret realms. Let alone finding the transformation grass. He couldn't even find a trace of it. Therefore, Yu Haoran was in disbelief when he heard that the enchanted beast storage space actually had the transformation grass. I'm very sure, the huge white wolf said hatefully, nodding its head. Because I was originally the exotic beast guarding the transformation grass. Moreover, I personally witnessed the enchanted beast snatching the transformation grass. Thinking back to how it had mysteriously left the transformation grass that it had been guarding all this time and watched the enchanted beast snatch the transformation grass, the white wolf's body emitted a murderous aura that could change the color of heaven and earth. Taking a deep breath, The huge white wolf adjusted the murderous aura in its heart and continued to explain calmly. Human cultivators, although many exotic beasts are unable to break through the limit of the 9th rank due to the influence of the rules of the demon-sealing secret realm, they can only watch themselves grow old and die in the end. However, to special exotic beasts like me and the enchanted beast, the restrictions of the secret realm's rules are very small. The reason why we didn't choose to break through to the 9th rank immediately is because we want to accumulate enough potential and strength to fight for the opportunity in the future. However, if this opportunity is compared to the transformation grass, I think all exotic beasts would probably choose the transformation grass. This is also the main reason why the enchanted beast didn't hesitate to sacrifice so many lives to leave the demon-sealing secret realm. I see. Nodding, Yuhauran finally understood why the white wolf was so sure that the enchanted beast storage space had the transformation grass. However, Yuhauran's tone changed, and he didn't make any guarantees. Senior, other than the enchanted beast, there are also palace whose strength is unknown in the depths of the secret realm. If the enchanted beast is willing to exchange the transformation grass in order to save its own life, this junior can't guarantee that I can get the transformation grass back for you. Yuhauran wanted the transformation grass that could make all exotic beasts go crazy without doing anything. How could he, who valued treasures as much as his life, give it away for free? However, the white wolf could rely on its own strength to offset part of the rules of the secret realm. This meant that its strength was not inferior to the purple golden condor. Although the purple golden condor was only at the 9th rank of the 9th rank, its true strength was already at the 3rd rank of the martial king realm. Chapter 270. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Faced with Yuhauran's promise that he could not fulfill, the white wolf fell into deep thought. This was because what Yuhauran said earlier was not wrong. With the ecstasy beast character of cherishing its life, if it was really forced into a desperate situation by the human warrior in front of it, it would definitely take out the transformation herb that even the scarlet loathed beast could not refuse. And the temperamental palace was the only person in the demon-sealing secret realm that the white wolf did not want and could not offend. Human warrior, if the transformation herb really falls into palace hands, then the agreement between you and me will be null and void. Compared to possessing the physique of a human, its own life was more important. Therefore, the white wolf, who knew when to advance and when to retreat, finally chose to take a step back. Senior, can you let me pass now? Through the observation of the Thaling's divine sense, he discovered that this grassland was only 1,000 miles away from the spirit cave in the deepest part of the secret realm. He was worried that the enchanted beast would use the method of seduction to gain palace sympathy and be willing to help him stop him, or be willing to send him out of the secret realm. Therefore, Yuhauran wanted to quickly enter the depths of the secret realm and try his best to capture the enchanted beast in advance without alerting Palace. I can't take advantage of you for nothing. Let me send you on your way. Seeing a trace of urgency between Yuhauran's brows, the white wolf knew that Yuhauran was anxious to kill him before the enchanted beast found Palace. And this was exactly what the white wolf desired. Therefore, without much hesitation, not only did he take the initiative to give way, but he was also willing to help Yuhauran. Not allowing Yuhauran to agree or reject, the white wolf opened its mouth and spat out a ball of white energy. The white energy wrapped around Yuhauran, and without him noticing, it disappeared from the spot. He did not feel anything at all and did not notice the passage of time. After the white energy disappeared, Yuhauran found himself on the other side of the grassland. Was it 1 second or 2 seconds? Yuhauran could no longer remember. However, the white energy ball was able to travel thousands of miles in such a short period of time. Yuhauran was extremely shocked by the white wolf's strength and methods. Yuhauran, this white wolf is definitely not simple. I think it might have the bloodline of the ancient divine beast, Sky Howling Wolf. The pagoda genie, who was also shocked by the strength and means displayed by the white wolf, could not help but guess after waking up. Pagoda spirit, let's ignore the white wolf's origins for now. Hurry up and search for traces of the enchanting beast. Although the white wolf's abilities and methods, Howren did not forget his task and quickly reminded. Quick, the beast is. Crossing the entire grassland, Thowling wanted to try if he could use his divine telekinesis. If he could not use his divine telekinesis, then he could use the mark left on the enchanted beast to track it. After Thowling expanded his divine telekinesis, he realized that the space across the grassland was not restricted by the Secret Realm's rules, and he could use his full divine telekinesis. Under such circumstances, he immediately locked onto the enchanted beast and saw why it was rushing forward. Thowling, give me a hand. Although the distance of less than 10 miles was not far, it was impossible to catch up with the enchanted beast with his pinnacle martial technique. Therefore, he could only ask Thowling for help. This was because Thowling's divine telekinesis could help him increase his speed by dozens of times. There was no need for Howren's reminder. A huge force of divine sense directly acted on his body, causing his speed, which was originally faster than the wind, to increase by dozens of times. 9 miles. 8 miles. With the help of Thowling's divine telekinesis, Howren could get within 1 mile of the enchanted beast every 5 seconds. However, when he was less than 4 miles away from the enchanted beast and could vaguely see the enchanted beast figure, the enchanted beast also noticed Howren. Seeing Howren chasing after it, the enchanted beast's face showed a hint of anxiety. It did not expect Howren to find it so quickly and did not expect the white wolf to not stop Howren. Sensing that Howren was getting closer and closer, the enchanted beast finally gritted its teeth and took out a drop of milky white liquid from its storage ring and swallowed it. 1,000-year spirit milk, what a waste. Although Howren could not see the enchanted beast's actions clearly, Thowling, who had been using divine telekinesis to lock onto him, could see it clearly. Seeing that the enchanted beast had wasted a drop of the 1,000-year spirit milk, which was comparable to a top-rank 5 elixir, in order to increase its speed, Thowling could not help but complain. 1,000-year spirit milk was a kind of spirit milk that was slowly formed after thousands or even tens of thousands of years in a place rich in spirit chi. This spirit milk was different from the spirit milk produced by a rank 5 upper spiritual vein. Not only did the 1,000-year spirit milk contain pure spirit chi, it also contained a trace of the power of law. If a martial artist at the peak of the 9th grade martial emperor realm used 1 or 2 drops of the 1,000-year spirit milk, there was a 70 to 80% chance that they could comprehend the power of law and use it to break through to the martial saint realm. If Howren could use the 1,000-year spirit milk when he broke through to the martial ancestor realm, not only would it increase his cultivation and potential, it would also allow him to further understand himself and comprehend the power of law that was suitable for him in advance. Seeing the enchanted beast's sudden increase in speed, Howren could not help but frown. Thowling, can you use divine telekinesis to directly attack or obstruct it? With the help of Thowling's divine telekinesis, his current speed had basically reached the limit. If he wanted to increase his speed, Thowling could do it, but his body would not be able to withstand the friction and collisions caused by the air currents, which would eventually cause his body to collapse. I'm afraid it's not possible. Thowling shook his head and explained. If it was before that grassland, I could still use divine telekinesis to obstruct the enchanted beast's speed, but now. Thowling sighed helplessly as his divine telekinesis swept past Pallas, who was standing in the spirit cave and enduring the impact of the mixture of spirit chi and strong winds. Forget it, we're almost at the end anyway. It's just a matter of time. Although Thowling did not say it explicitly, Howren knew what he was afraid of from his sigh just now. In the end, he could only console him. Big Brother Chi Yin. With the help of a drop of precious 1,000-year spirit milk, the enchanted beast quickly arrived in front of the spirit cave. However, its weak body did not dare to approach the spirit cave at all. This was because the air currents formed by the mixture of strong winds and spirit chi were powerful enough to tear apart the bodies of exotic beasts of level 7 and above. Therefore, standing on a rock a few kilometers away from the spirit cave, the enchanted beast directly controlled a tabby cat and shouted loudly, "You and I have already severed all ties. Why are you still looking for me?" Pallas, who was enjoying the impact of the air currents, slowly opened his eyes and looked coldly at the enchanted beast, questioning him coldly. Seeing Pallas's clear eyes, the enchanted beast could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Chapter 271. In the Blue Moon's Secret Realm. Big Brother Chi Yin, it's all my fault. I don't ask Big Brother Chi Yin to avenge Ling Yuan. I only hope that Big Brother Chi Yin can send me out of the secret realm so that I won't be slaughtered by that murderous god. The enchanted beast begged with an extremely sorrowful expression while secretly observing Pallas's expression. The enchanted beast could not help but feel elated when he saw that Pallas's originally cold expression had revealed a trace of sadness. He then hurriedly knelt on the ground and recounted the events of Ling Yuan's death while grieving in agony. Big Brother Chi Yin, Ling Yuan died a horrible death. Not only was his newly condensed spirit dispersed, even his spiritual vein had been plundered by that murderous god. He didn't even have the chance to regain his consciousness. Impossible. When he heard the enchanted beast's sorrowful account of Ling Yuan's death, Pallas hurriedly shook his head to express that he did not believe it. In his mind, even though Yu Haoran was a decisive killer, he was definitely not a bloodthirsty and cruel person. At the very most, he would have killed Ling Yuan's spirit and taken away a portion of his precious spirit stones. He would never have killed Ling Yuan's original body and would never have directly destroyed the life force that allowed him to regain his consciousness. Big Brother Chi Yin, Ling Yuan and I have been close brothers for over 100 years. Do you think that I would joke around with my brother's life? When the enchanted beast saw that Pallas did not believe what he had just said, he instantly knew that his relationship with that human ancient martial art practitioner was not shallow. Therefore, he did not hesitate to use Ling Yuan's life as a guarantee so that Pallas could quickly send him out of the secret realm. As long as he could leave the secret realm, he would definitely be able to make a name for himself in the outside world with his many years of collection, the hundreds of drops of thousand-year-old spiritual milk, and the transformation grass that could transform into a human. The only thing that he regretted was that now that he had left the secret realm, he would not have Ling Yuan's inexhaustible source of energy, nor would he have the crystal marrow that could increase his aptitude and talent, cultivation, and power. That's too much. When he saw the enchanted beast swear on Ling Yuan's life, Pallas instinctively chose to believe what the enchanted beast had just said. While he was dissatisfied with Yu Haoran's cruel methods, he also felt sympathy for Enchanted Soul. Enchanted Soul, don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. As the saying goes, what you hear is false, but seeing is believing. Just as the Scarlet Loathe believed the Ecstasy Beast's words and was willing to help him, a familiar voice suddenly came from not far away. As the voice faded, Yu Haoran, who had used his peak realm footwork martial technique to rush to the spirit cave, greeted the Scarlet Loathe beast enthusiastically. Haoran. In the face of Yu Haoran's enthusiastic greeting, the dissatisfied Scarlet Loathe did not give him a good look. However, Yu Haoran did not mind. With the help of Phalang's divine sense, he had heard every single word and action of the enchanted beast. He also knew why Pallas was dissatisfied with him. Enchanted Soul, you told Brother Chi that not only did I destroy Ling Yuan's soul, but I also harvested his original body, making it impossible for him to regain his consciousness. Yu Haoran asked with a smile. That's right. The enchanted beast nodded and admitted with the help of the cat's mouth. Then, did you see it with your own eyes, or was it your own guess? Yu Haoran asked with a smile. Even if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'm sure you won't let Brother Ling Yuan off the hook. You killed 200 of my precious beasts with just a single blackbirth orb that was laced with poison. Although the enchanted beast wanted to say that he saw it with his own eyes, He was afraid that Yu Haoran would ask about the details of how he killed Ling Yuan. Therefore, the enchanted beast could only use other methods to prove that Yu Haoran was a cruel and bloodthirsty person. Brother Qi, do you believe the enchanted beast's words, or do you believe in Yu Haoran's character? Yu Haoran did not expose the enchanted beast's lies. Instead, he turned his head and directly tested Palace's choice. Brother Yu, to be honest, I believe in your character from the bottom of my heart. However, based on what Enchanted Soul and Ling Yuan did to your disciples, I also believe in Enchanted Soul's words. Faced with Yu Haoran's choice, Palace stated his judgment without bias. Brother Qi, not only did I not destroy Ling Yuan's body, but I also did not harm his soul. Are you willing to believe me? Yu Haoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief at Palace's answer. This meant that he was not bewitched by the enchanted beast, and he had a chance to defend himself. Before Palace could answer, the enchanted beast cat jumped out and refuted, "Impossible. I saw with my own eyes that you transformed into a rank 5 Vajra monkey. Furthermore, you wielded a golden staff that could change in size and thickness. Not only did you injure Ling Yuan all over, you even used up half of his origin energy." That's right. Yu Haoran nodded in response to Palace's questioning gaze. He did not deny what he had done. However, soon after, a look of anger appeared on his face as he continued. I don't know who dispelled the rules of the secret realm within 1,000 miles of the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse. Not only did the 209 mutated beasts that Enchanted Soul nurtured break through the restrictions of the secret realm, reaching rank 7 and rank 6, but even the upper rank 5 spiritual pulse broke through to rank 5 and condensed a godly soul. A rank 5 spiritual pulse, a godly soul, is equivalent to a human martial emperor. In the face of such a powerful opponent and an enemy who wants to take my life, how can I be merciful? Hearing Yu Haoran mention the rules of the secret realm that caused the disappearance of the spiritual pulse, Palace's face flashed with an apologetic look. Furthermore, under the influence of this apologetic look, he could not help but nod in agreement with Yu Haoran's explanation. You with the surname Yu, since you're my and brother Ling Yuan's sworn enemy, how could you let Ling Yuan go so easily when you had the absolute advantage? The enchanted beast seemed to have found a flaw in Yu Haoran's explanation and quickly attacked him. It looked at Yu Haoran with glee, waiting to see how he would defend himself. That's right. Brother Yu, how do you explain this? Palace nodded in agreement with the enchanted beast's question and continued to ask. Brother Qi, you and I are both prideful people. We would rather perish together with powerful enemies than slaughter weak creatures, right? Yu Haoran did not immediately refute the enchanted beast's question. Instead, he secretly flattered Palace. Chapter 272. Unlucky. I don't know if it was because of the thunderstorm or the machine overheating, but the notebook that had accompanied Yin Yun for 7 years was suddenly destroyed. The 3 chapters that were supposed to be updated today were gone. She could only use the computer at work to secretly write them. So, the 5 chapters might be updated later today. In front of the spirit cave in the depths of the arcane realm. Brother Yu, you're right. Actually, you, Enchanted Soul, and I are all favored by the heavens. We've been protected by the heavens since we were born. Our strength is far superior to our peers. Therefore, when facing weak creatures, even if we can't help them, we can't bully the weak and kill them ruthlessly. Nodding, the scarlet-loathed beast suddenly felt as though it had met a soulmate. This soulmate was the source of the poison. It was something that his peers in the arcane realm could not give him. Yu Haoran was overjoyed when he saw the relieved smile in the Scarlet Lotus eyes. This was because he knew that his flattery just now had made the Red Lotus attitude change a lot. Therefore, he took the opportunity to directly target the enchanting beast and questioned it in a low voice. Enchanted Soul, when I was fighting with Spirit Source, as his brother, why didn't you help him when you saw that he was at a disadvantage? I'm only good at controlling the minds of creatures. I'm not good at close-range combat. Faced with Yu Haoran's question, the enchanted beast instinctively took a step back. However, he still refuted stubbornly. Not being good at close-range combat is a reasonable explanation. To the surprise of the enchanted beast and palace, Yu Haoran did not refute. Instead, he agreed with the enchanted beast's rebuttal. However, Yu Haoran's expression changed immediately. He raised his voice and questioned, "Even if you're not good at close-range combat, because of your body, you can still support Spirit Source from the back. Then, why did you run away alone when Spirit Source was at a disadvantage?" "I didn't." The enchanted beast instinctively took 2 steps back and refuted, clearly lacking in confidence. Yu Haoran ignored the enchanted beast's rebuttal and continued to raise his voice. "It's fine if you run away alone. After all, you're a coward who's afraid of death. But why did you steal Spirit Source's storage ring when you escaped?" "Nonsense." When the enchanted beast heard Yu Haoran expose its selfish actions, it took 3 steps back in fear and continued to deny it. Similarly, Yu Haoran ignored the ecstasy beast's denial and turned to speak to the Scarlet Loath. "Brother Qi, if I were to tell you that not only did I not sever his spirit's source and regain his consciousness, but even his soul was not harmed, would you believe me?" "Impossible." Before Pallas could answer Yu Haoran's question, the enchanted beast, who had just calmed down, hurriedly questioned him loudly. Yu Haoran ignored it and continued to stare at Pallas. "What's the reason?" Pallas did not say whether he believed it or not. He only wanted Yu Haoran to give him a reasonable reason. "Brother Qi, although Spirit Source used the disappearance of the rules of the secret realm to break through to the first rank of the 5th step and condense his soul, he had too little contact with living beings, and his life experience was very shallow. This caused his mind to remain at that of a child. As the enchanted beast who grew up with him and taught him how to cultivate, you could say that he was both his elder brother and his parents." At this point, Yu Haoran suddenly pointed at the enchanted beast and reprimanded it angrily. Faced with the betrayal of his elder brother and parents, how could Spirit Source, who only had the mind of a child, accept it? After enchanted beast stole Spirit Source's 100 years of collection and secretly escaped from the Spirit Vein, Spirit Source was unable to accept the blow of betrayal from his family and love. His mind was completely sealed, and he sank into a state of self-recollection. To us human ancient martial art practitioners, such a state of self-sealing basically means that he is useless and an idiot. At this point, Yu Haoran took a deep breath and asked with a sorrowful expression, "Brother Qi, do you think I could bear to kill such a useless person who could not retaliate?" "Enchanted beast, you deserve to die." After hearing what enchanted beast had done to Spirit Source, Pallas, who had always valued friendship, could no longer control the anger in his heart. He glared at the enchanted beast with murderous eyes. However, when he saw the human-shaped spiritual herb in the enchanted beast's hand, the murderous Pallas was stunned. Sigh. Yu Haoran used all kinds of verbal advantages and instigation to stir up the Scarlet Loath's murderous intent towards the enchanting beast. He originally thought that with this, he could make the Scarlet Loath give up the possibility of helping the enchanting beast. However, when he saw the enchanted beast take out the shape-shifting spiritual herb and Pallas' reaction, Yu Haoran knew that everything he had done was in vain. If he wanted to capture the enchanted beast alive and use it to merge Spirit Source soul into his destiny ritual implement, he could not rely on Pallas. Therefore, Yu Haoran decided to use force and the power of the shape-shifting secret technique to force Pallas to not interfere in the feud between him and the enchanted beast. "Yu Haoran, if you really can't do it, just give up." Fowling knew what Yu Haoran was going to do when he sensed that he had started to activate the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his meridians. Although the pagoda spirit was also unwilling to give up the Spirit Source, it had risked using its divine sense to check the Scarlet Loath's strength. It knew that even if Yu Haoran activated the full power of the Vajra monkey's blood essence, he would not be able to withstand 3 moves from the Scarlet Loath. This was because Pallas's strength had far surpassed the 5th level, which was the limit of the peak of the martial emperor realm. If not for the fact that there were no laws in the arcane realm, He would not only be a martial sage who had comprehended the power of laws, he might even be a martial honorable who had mastered the power of laws. Because you're no match for Pallas. Even if you risk the most serious backlash from the shape-shifting secret technique, you would not be able to withstand 3 moves from him. Howard was stunned by the cruel reality that Thaling had pointed out. Although he knew that Pallas was very strong enough to withstand the power of the arcane realm's rules, based on the few encounters he had with Pallas in his previous life, he felt that Pallas's strength was at most at the peak of the martial emperor realm. If he activated all of the Vajra monkey's blood essence and used it with the As I Wish staff, it was not impossible for him to win. But what about what Thaling had pointed out? Howard smiled bitterly as he dispersed the blood essence that had just been activated in his meridians. He immediately turned around and prepared to leave. Bewitchment and shape-shifting grass are indeed irresistible to living beings other than human warriors. But to me, Pallas, who has inherited the bloodline of my 3 ancestors, I prefer my current form. Just as Howard was about to turn around and leave, Pallas, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. So, I will not accept the shape-shifting grass. Of course, since I will not accept the shape-shifting grass, you will have to pay the price for what you have done to the spirit source. Hearing that Pallas had rejected the shape-shifting grass, Howard could not help but stop in his tracks and look at Pallas in shock. Chapter 273. Deep in the secret realm, in front of the spirit cave. Howard, do you know why Pallas was able to resist the temptation of the transformation grass? Although Howard was very surprised and puzzled by the Scarlet Loath's unexpected choice, the Tower Genie suddenly figured out one thing. It was a shocking secret that he had discovered when he had spied on the Scarlet Loath's strength. I don't know. Howard shook his head and replied. When I took the risk to check on Pallas's strength just now, I discovered that the 3 ancient bloodlines in his body were fusing together. Howard, if the 3 ancient divine beast bloodlines could fuse into a new bloodline, Pallas, as a new species born between heaven and earth, would be rewarded by the heavenly axiom. As for what the reward would be, I don't know because I have never experienced it. However, if we were to talk about who in the Tianxian continent is most likely to surpass Emperor Wu's peak and become an immortal Einherjar, it would not be you, Howard, nor would it be the genius disciples of the top sections. It would be Pallas, who would be rewarded by the heavenly axiom. I see. After listening to Thaling's explanation, Howard finally understood why Pallas was able to resist the temptation of the transformation grass. After all, even a fool would know what to choose between the opportunity to transform into a human and the reward from the heavenly axiom to become a divine beast. However, to Howard's surprise, the enchanted beast did not panic at Pallas's rejection. Instead, it spoke with confidence. Big Brother Chi, I know that you, who inherited the bloodlines of 3 divine beasts, disdain to transform into a human. I also know that you don't like to use external items to increase your strength. However, what about your brother, Poison Source? I think in the Demon Sealing secret realm, Poison Source is the most likely mutated beast to transform into a human. Hearing the Ecstasy beast mention the source of the poison, the Scarlet Loath, who originally had a firm expression, suddenly showed a hint of hesitation. They had known each other for hundreds of years. Of course, Pallas knew what Poison Source's biggest wish was. However, Pallas was unwilling to let go of the enchanted beast, who was the source of Poison Source, in order to transform into a human. Brother Chi, can you listen to me? Seeing that the Scarlet Loath was caught in a dilemma, Howard knew that he had to step in. Otherwise, if he continued to be pressured by the Ecstasy beast, the Scarlet Loath would definitely agree to the Ecstasy beast's request for the Poison Source. Brother, you please speak. Pallas, he turned to look at Howard's face of the demon's face was of struggle. Brother Chi, ever since Howard, stepped onto the path of cultivation, I have always insisted on advancing my cultivation level and my physical body simultaneously. Therefore, I have a unique view on the cultivation and state of the body. At this moment, Brother Chi's demonic power is boiling and your body is glowing. Obviously, you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Yu Haoran's face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't beat fast as he made up a lie. For cultivators like us, a breakthrough is the most important thing, let alone a transformation grass. Even if there is a divine elixir that can make one an Einherjar, I am afraid that I will have to wait until I have a breakthrough. Brother Yu, you are right. Hearing Yu Haoran mention his demonic power boiling and his body glowing, Pallas was stunned at first. Pallas himself did not feel any demonic power boiling. However, when he heard about the importance of a breakthrough, he immediately knew that Yu Haoran wanted him to use a breakthrough as an excuse to get out of the predicament temporarily and leave everything to him. Thank you for your reminder, Brother Yu. After thanking Yu Haoran, Pallas did not ask for the enchanted beast's opinion and returned to the spirit cave in a flash. Moreover, with his strong body, he went directly into the deepest part of the spirit cave. Unless he also went into the deepest part of the spirit cave, he would not be able to alert Pallas just by shouting. Mihun, isn't it time to settle the score between us now? Seeing that Pallas understood his plan and immediately carried out, Yu Haoran activated the Vajra monkey's blood essence in his body and said with a grim smile, "A genius among human warriors. In this storage ring, there are more than 200 kinds of spiritual herbs of level 7 and above, and more than 400 spiritual stones of level 4 and above, as well as countless other precious treasures." Facing Yu Haoran's grim threat, the enchanted beast still did not panic. He first put away the transformation grass, then took out a simple storage ring from somewhere and tempted Yu Haoran. Not enough. Facing the storage ring taken out by the enchanted beast, Yu Haoran shook his head and refused while continuing to use the blood essence to increase his strength and height. Except for the 3 treasures in this storage ring, the rest of the treasures are all yours, Brother Yu. Knowing that it was impossible to move Yu Haoran with just the spiritual source's storage ring, the enchanting beast took out its own storage ring and began to take out treasures that were irresistible to Yu Haoran. A green crystal flower of level 7 and above that has reached 5,000 years of age. It can increase a warrior's perception. A tea flower of level 7 and above that has reached 4,000 years of age. It can increase a warrior's perception and has a certain chance of touching upon the power of law. A ginseng grass of level 7 and above that has reached 8,000 years of age. It can directly increase one's movement and footwork skills by 1 realm. 300 spiritual stones of level 4, first to level 3. 160 spiritual stones of level 4, fourth to level 6. 30 spiritual stones of level 4, 7th to level 9. Every time he took out a treasure from a storage ring, the enchanted beast would explain in detail the origin, use, and effects of the treasure. Although the enchanted beast tried its best to pretend that it did not care, the pain in its eyes showed that it was not willing to take out these treasures. Unfortunately, although Yu Haoran was ecstatic when the enchanted beast kept taking out treasures, he did not stop his transformation. He waited until his body was 59 meters tall and his strength reached the peak of level 9 Martial King before he stopped the blood essence. Then, Yu Haoran shook his head and said with a big mouth, "Bewitching, using the temptation of treasures to make me let you live, this trick will not work on me, Yu Haoran. Because according to my style of doing things, as long as I kill you, both storage rings will be mine, not to mention the treasures in the storage rings." After making his attitude clear, Yu Haoran stretched out a huge hand and grabbed the enchanted beast. With 1 storage ring in each hand, the enchanted beast held it in the palm of his hand. Its cute face showed a trace of ruthlessness. Chapter 274. In the depths of the secret realm, in front of the spirit cave. Unfortunately, Yu Haoran ignored the enchanted beast's desperate threat. He knew that the enchanted beast, who was afraid of death, would not dare to destroy the only thing that could save its life, the storage ring. Hee, who said I'm going to kill you? I'm going to use your life to awaken the spirit source. While pointing out a way for the enchanted beast to survive, he quickly grabbed the enchanted beast, using its own life to awaken the spiritual source. Hearing Howard's words, which sounded like he was mumbling to himself, but also like a deliberate reminder, the enchanting beast's shaky confidence instantly loosened. Taking advantage of the moment when the enchanted beast relaxed, the giant palm grabbed him. At the same time, Thowling used his divine sense to seal the enchanted beast and put it into the victor. After successfully capturing the enchanted beast, Howard could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Then, he clenched his left fist and swung it at the spirit cave. With the strength of a ninth-grade martial king, although he could not cut off the flow of air, he could alert the palace in the depths of the spirit cave. Howard, the spirit cave is definitely the best place to train your body now. Unfortunately, your cultivation and the grade of your body are too low. You can't withstand the impact of the wind and spirit chi. Otherwise, your body would definitely improve. Seeing that Howard's full-strength punch only caused the air to tremble slightly, Thowling could not help but sigh. Thowling, it's okay. Facing Thowling's sigh, Howard did not mind. When my cultivation and body both break through to the martial ancestor realm, I will go to a place more outstanding than the spirit cave, because that place can not only train the body, but also refine the spirit. Oh, Thowling's interest was instantly piqued by the fact that there was a place in the Tianxian continent that could temper one's physical body and soul at the same time. However, he did not pursue the matter. Because of Howard's reminder, Pallas had already rushed back from the depths of the spirit cave. Pallas glanced at the spot where the enchanted beast was standing and asked with a complicated expression, "It's done." "Done." Nodding his head, Howard handed the storage ring containing the transformation grass that he obtained from the ecstasy beast to the scarlet loaf. "Brother Red, this is the storage ring that contains the transformation grass. With your strength, you should be able to remove the imprint left behind by bewitching soul and give the transformation grass to Brother Du Yuan. Howard, this is a transformation grass that can transform an exotic beast into a human. Are you really willing to give it to Ling Yuan?" Seeing that Howard was willing to give away the transformation grass, Pallas was touched, but he also had a trace of doubt in his heart. After all, the transformation grass was just too important to an exotic beast. If Howard left the demon-sealing secret realm with the transformation grass, he could casually find a rank 5 or even rank 4 exotic beast and use the transformation grass as the price to sign a beast pet contract with that exotic beast. Other than himself, no other exotic beast would be able to resist the temptation of the transformation grass. To be honest, I'm definitely reluctant to part with it. However, in order to not put Brother Red in a difficult position and to make Brother Du Yuan happy, I can only take out the transformation grass. Half-truths and half-lies, this was the highest level of lying. "Keep it." Howard expressed his thoughts honestly. Pallas nodded his head in satisfaction, then motioned for Howard to keep the storage ring. "Brother Yu, for the past 100 years, I've explored the secret realm more than once. Other than looking for spiritual herbs that could increase my strength, I've also wanted to find the transformation grass for Brother Du Yuan." Seeing Howard put away the storage ring, Pallas said with a slightly sad expression, "Unfortunately, after more than 10 times of searching, let alone finding the transformation grass, I couldn't even find a trace of it. And Brother Du Yuan, who has been looking forward to finding the transformation grass, could still treat it peacefully at first. But now..." At this point, Pallas raised his head and looked at the group of red rocks. His gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the infinite space and directly see the poisoned source in the poisonous fog. After more than 10 times of anticipation and disappointment, Brother Du Yuan has formed a kind of demonic intent towards the transformation grass, and this demonic intent has seriously affected his state of mind. If he didn't have the transformation grass, Brother Du Yuan would still be able to stay in the secret realm peacefully and use the special environment of the secret realm to continue improving his cultivation. However, if he obtained the transformation grass, he would definitely transform into a human immediately and try to find a way to leave the secret realm. However, Du Yuan is different from the other exotic beasts in the secret realm. Those exotic beasts can safely leave the secret realm, but as long as he takes a step out of the secret realm, what awaits him is death. At this point, Pallas retracted his gaze and looked directly at Yuhauran. Brother Yu, weren't you complaining about who removed the rules of the secret realm around the spirit vein? Nodding his head, Yuhauran pretended to look at Pallas with an expectant expression. With a chuckle, Pallas said in an incomparably domineering manner, "In the entire secret realm, other than me, Pallas, who else has such powerful strength? Brother Chi, what you mean is that you actually have the ability to leave the Blue Moon secret realm long ago. But for Brother Du Yuan, you've been forcefully staying in the secret realm all this while? Not cancel, but remove." From Pallas's words, Yuhauran grasped a key point. Nodding his head, Pallas said truthfully, "That's right. Actually, 100 years ago, I already had the strength to leave the secret realm. However, for Brother Du Yuan, I have been suppressing my strength." Brother Chi, according to what you said just now, Brother Du Yuan is unable to leave the secret realm like the other exotic beasts because of his special physique. Don't tell me that you have to stay in the secret realm forever to accompany him? While Yuhauran admired Pallas's loyalty, he was also suspicious of his choice. After all, in his previous life, he had just broken through to the martial ancestor realm when he had met Pallas 10 years after the Blue Moon secret realm had closed. This also meant that the Scarlet Loathed Beast had not been accompanying the poison source in the Blue Moon secret realm, as he had said earlier. Shaking his head, Pallas said without hiding anything, "No, due to the uniqueness of Du Yuan's physique, as long as he can break through to rank 5 and condense a spirit body, he can leave this damned demon-sealing secret realm by sacrificing the death of his body in exchange for the existence of his spirit. Brother Chi, with Brother Du Yuan's talent and potential, how many years would it take for him to break through to rank 5? Yuhauran hurriedly asked. The reason why he wanted to know everything about Du Yuan was that when he met Pallas in his previous life, he had never mentioned Du Yuan. This situation could only mean one thing. Something must have happened to Du Yuan in the end. Otherwise, with their friendship, it was impossible for them to separate. Chapter 275. In the depths of the secret realm, in front of the spirit cave. The shortest was 100 years, the longest was 1,000 years. After hearing Pallas's reply, Yuhauran knew that something must have happened to the poison source. As a result, Pallas could only leave the Blue Moon secret realm by himself. For some reason, Yuhauran felt that the poison source's mishap might be directly related to the transformation grass in his hands. After all, after the opening of the Blue Moon secret realm in his previous life, although there were many casualties among the disciples, it was not as serious as this time. In other words, in his previous life, the enchanted beast did not use the blood sacrifice technique to leave the Blue Moon secret realm. In that case, the enchanted beast might have used the transformation grass and the special relationship between the poison source and Pallas to let Pallas send him out of the secret realm. After understanding all this, Yuhauran secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he suddenly thought of a plan to deal with the White Wolf. Brother Chi, if you want to make the poison source give up completely, I'm afraid it's not possible to find the transformation grass by just relying on it. At this point, Yuhauran took out the enchanted bee storage ring and handed it to Pallas. Brother Chi, help me take out the transformation grass. Although he did not know what Yuhauran wanted to do, Pallas had already recognized him as a friend from the way he showed mercy to the spirit cave and his willingness to give the transformation grass to the poison source. Therefore, after receiving the storage ring, Pallas did not ask anything. He immediately erased the imprint left by the enchanted beast in the storage ring and took out the transformation grass. Yuhauran took the storage ring and the shape-shifting grass from the Scarlet Loaf. First, he put the storage ring on his finger. Then he carefully plucked a leaf from the shape-shifting grass. Brother Yu, The transformation grass is a very fragile spiritual herb. Wouldn't you be destroying the transformation grass by doing that? Pallas quickly reminded when he saw you, Howren, plucking the leaves off the transformation grass. Brother Chi, don't forget that I am an alchemist who is proficient in the art of alchemy. Do you think I don't know how precious the form transformation grass is? Yu Howren explained with a smile as he kept the rest of the transformation grass. Thinking of Yu Howren's exquisite technique when refining the slaughter spirit pill, Pallas nodded in relief. Brother Red, when I was chasing after the enchanted beast, I once passed by a large grassland and encountered a huge white wolf whose strength I couldn't see through. Oh, Pallas said with disdain when he heard Yu Howren mention the giant white wolf. That's the white wolf, the overlord of the grassland. Just like the enchanted beast, it's also a selfish, cowardly piece of trash. Brother Chi, in order to pass through the grassland, I once made an agreement with the white wolf. Seeing how disdainful Pallas was towards the white wolf, Yu Howren was overjoyed. He was even more confident in the success of his plan. If I kill the enchanted beast, I must give him the transformation grass. Brother Yu, how did the white wolf know about the transformation grass? Pallas asked with a frown. If the enchanted beast did not take the initiative to give him the transformation grass, the enchanted beast would probably be the only one who knew about the secret of the transformation grass in the entire demon sealing secret realm. Therefore, he really wanted to know how the white wolf, who never left the grassland, knew that the transformation grass was in the hands of the enchanted beast. The white wolf is the guardian of the transformation grass. He witnessed how the enchanted beast took the transformation grass away. Yu Howren explained. I see. Pallas could not help but nod his head after hearing Yu Howren's explanation. At the same time, he also understood why he could not find any trace of the transformation grass, even after going through the entire secret realm. With the white wolf's strength and methods, it was not difficult for him to hide from him. Brother Chi, what I'm going to do next may be a little cruel, but the choice is in your hands, Yu Howren said seriously, ignoring Pallas's sigh. Tell me, from the series of actions just now, Pallas could more or less guess Yu Howren's plan. However, he still wanted to hear it from Yu Howren himself. Kill the white wolf, and take the remaining leaves of the transformation grass. Tell Brother Du Yuan that the transformation grass in the secret realm has been consumed by the white wolf. Let him give up completely, so that he can cultivate in peace. After hearing Yu Howren's plan, Pallas did not angrily reject it, but he did not agree immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes and pondered. Brother Yu, that white wolf has an extraordinary background. The blood of the ancient mythical beast, the sky-howling wolf, flows in his body. The essence blood in his body will have an extremely great effect on the movement technique that you are cultivating. After leaving behind an inexplicable sentence, Pallas directly shot into the sky and quickly disappeared in front of the spirit cave. What an opportunity! Seeing Pallas leave quickly, Thalen could not help but sigh. I owe him a huge favor this time. Shaking his head, Yu Howren had a different opinion. Using a scheme to kill the white wolf, besides the white wolf's initial threat, which made Yu Howren very unhappy, the other main reason was because of the information that Zhao Zong had provided. In an underground cave in a dense forest not far from the grassland, there was not only the 100-year spiritual milk that had been accumulated for thousands of years, but also a magic weapon that was nurtured by nature. The 100-year spiritual milk, the magic weapon that was nurtured by nature, and the 9 elemental energy fruits that he no longer needed. These were Yu Howren's last 3 goals before the secret realm closed. Therefore, in order to successfully obtain the 100-year spiritual milk and a magic weapon, he could only use Pallas to get rid of the biggest threat, the white wolf. Therefore, using Pallas to get rid of the white wolf could be considered as owing Pallas a favor. Now, he was willing to give away the essence blood of the white wolf that contained the bloodline of the ancient mythical beast, the sky-howling wolf. He owed Pallas an even bigger favor. The Scarlet Loath left quickly and returned quickly as well. Just as Howren and Thaling finished sighing, Pallas returned to the spirit cave with a giant white wolf in his hand. Pallas directly threw the huge body of the white wolf in front of Howren and said jokingly, "Brother I don't think you need my help to extract its essence blood." "No need." Shaking his head, he took out an elixir bottle and a sword of lower-grade king's domain from his storage ear. Then, he aimed at the white wolf's heart and stabbed it. After extracting 30 drops of the white wolf's essence blood, Howren stopped and put away the elixir bottle containing the essence blood. Then, Howren clenched his hands and thanked him respectfully. "Thank you, Brother Chi. You're welcome. It's all for the source of the poison." Pallas waved his hand, indicating that Howren did not need to be so polite. Then, he directly sucked the white wolf's body into his hand and planned to return to the Red Rocks. Before the Scarlet Loath left, Howren suddenly exhorted in a loud voice, "Brother Chi, tell Brother Duyuan that I will return to the group of Red Rocks after I finish the most important matters in the secret realm. I will then give him some experience and secret techniques regarding the Tao of Poison. I hope he can cultivate in peace." Chapter 276. In the depths of the secret realm, in front of the spirit cave. Howren, Gale Steps is actually the same as cultivation in realm. It is also restricted by the rules of the Blue Moon secret realm. So, if you want to use the white wolf's blood essence to break through your movement technique, it's best to wait until you leave the Blue Moon secret realm. Seeing Howren take out the pill bottle containing the white wolf's blood essence, Thaling knew what he was thinking and hurriedly reminded him. The rules of the secret realm also have restrictions on movement technique. Howren frowned as he didn't understand, but he knew that Thaling wouldn't lie to him, so he could only put away the pill bottle. Seeing Howren put away the pill bottle containing the white wolf's blood essence, Thaling secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Actually, the Blue Moon secret realm's restrictions were only on cultivation and realm. There were no restrictions on martial skills. The reason why he didn't let Howren consume the white wolf's blood essence now was because the white wolf's blood essence could help him break through his movement technique. It could also be combined with the astral dough arts to increase the effect of the astral dough arts on the body tempering by several times or even more than 10 times. However, there was no star power in the Blue Moon secret realm. Not only was it useless to tell Howren now, it would also disturb his thoughts and not make use of his next move. Therefore, Thaling could only use deceiving methods to make him temporarily give up the idea of consuming the white wolf's blood essence. Turning his head to look at the spirit cave behind him, Howren's eyes revealed a trace of regret. Then, he used his peak movement technique and also left the spirit cave. In front of a small forest more than 100 miles away from the edge of the prairie, a skylark with a wingspan of about 4 meters suddenly landed. After the skylark stopped, Zhao Zong, who looked slightly embarrassed, jumped down from the skylark's back. Then, he took out a map drawn on a piece of white paper and compared it with the forest in front of him according to the markings on the map. Zhao Zong couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when he realized that the forest before him was exactly the same as the one on the map. Although Zhao Zong's position in the Sect Master's faction was very high, and he was deeply trusted by Sect Master Zhao Ji, that was because he was good at using schemes, and he could use schemes to help the Sect Master's faction gain more benefits. However, the strategy that had always been successful was completely useless against the simple-minded, well-developed, yet extremely powerful exotic beasts in the secret realm, as well as the natural traps in the Blue Moon secret realm. Therefore, after encountering several fatal dangers, Zhao Zong knew that with his own strength, it was impossible for him to cross the distance of tens of thousands of kilometers to reach the underground cave where the magical artifacts were being nurtured. With no other choice, he could only take the risk and return to the spiritual vein. He happened to meet the skylark that was controlled by the enchanted beast back then and was under his command. After realizing that he could still command the skylark, Zhao Zong knew that the battle between Yu Haoran and the enchanted beast had not ended. Otherwise, once the enchanted beast died and lost the control of the bewitching technique, he wouldn't be able to command the Skylark at all. Fortunately, the Skylark was still under his control when he arrived at the destination marked on the map. This made Zhao Zong rejoice, but at the same time, he couldn't help but pray. He prayed that the enchanted beast and the rank 5 upper-grade spiritual vein will be able to turn the tables and defeat Yu Haoran in the end. In that case, he wouldn't have to expose what he had done in the secret realm, and could also successfully complete the mission that Sect Master Zhao Ji had given him. Go to the side and wait for me. Motioning for the Skylark to go to the side, Zhao Zong took out a pill the size of a longan that emitted a strong fragrance from his sleeve and put it into his mouth reluctantly. Although Sect Master Zhao Ji had said that although the Blue Moon secret realm was full of danger when he accepted the mission, the underground cave that nurtured the magic weapon was not too dangerous due to its special position and environment. With Zhao Zong's strength, he could completely guarantee his safety and smoothly take away the magic weapon that was nurtured by the heavens and earth. However, after nearly 7 days of training in the secret realm, Zhao Zong was no longer so convinced by Sect Master Zhao Ji's words. Therefore, he planned to wait until his strength had recovered to its peak before taking the risk to enter the forest. He didn't know what grade the pill that Zhao Zong had just taken was. In just 5 minutes, Zhao Zong, whose aura had returned to its peak, stood up and walked into the forest. Just 10 minutes after Zhao Zong entered the forest, a black dot that was several times faster than a gust of wind rushed into the forest. When the black dot stopped in front of the forest and revealed its body, it was Yu Haoran who had just left the spirit cave. According to the information that Zhao Zong had provided, the underground cave that nurtured the magic weapon seems to be in this forest. Yu Haoran muttered to himself as he looked at the forest that wasn't very big in front of him. Then he instructed Thaling in his sea of consciousness. Thaling, see if you can use divine thought. Yes, but it can only extend about 10 meters. There was no need for Yu Haoran's reminder. Thaling, who had slowly developed the habit, had already begun to use divine thought the moment Yu Haoran stopped in front of the forest. Only 10 meters. Hearing that the power of divine thought could only extend 10 meters, Yu Haoran felt a little disappointed. Then he habitually activated the 3rd drop of Vajra Monkey's essence blood in his body, which was also the last drop. Fortunately, this space had a stronger restriction on divine thought, but it didn't have any restrictions on secret transformations. This gave Yu Haoran the confidence to face any trouble that he might encounter in the future. Just as he was about to enter the forest, Yu Haoran suddenly turned his head and looked at the Skylark not far away. A hint of suspicion flashed in his eyes. That was because the Skylark in front of him was only at the 3rd rank of the 8th order. Exotic beasts of this level could be seen in the outer regions of the secret realm, but in the depths of the secret realm, at least before he used the purple golden eagle to rush to the prairie, he rarely saw one. Thinking of this, Yu Haoran suddenly had an idea. With the help of the Vajra Monkey's essence blood in his meridians, he began to carefully track it. After faintly feeling the essence blood pulsing, Yu Haoran revealed a smile on his face. Then, he decisively stepped into the forest. The area of the forest wasn't large, only a few tens of thousands of square meters. After stepping into the forest, Yu Haoran didn't encounter any exotic beasts obstructing him. In less than 3 minutes, he arrived at the center of the forest, in front of a group of rocks and trees. Without needing to search carefully, using the pulsing essence blood as a guide, Yu Haoran quickly discovered a cave that led underground in the middle of the trees and rocks. Since someone was leading the way, Yu Haoran didn't have to bother with the Thaling, which was only 10 meters wide with his divine thought. He directly bent his body and entered the cave. Although the entrance to the cave wasn't big, and he needed to bend his body to enter, Yu Haoran immediately felt that the space had expanded a lot after entering the cave. Furthermore, the walls on both sides of the cave were irregularly inlaid with sparkling and translucent jade stones that were emitting a faint white light. Reaching out, Yu Haoran picked up a jade stone. After inspecting it, he discovered that this jade stone emitting a white light was only the most common luminous stone and wasn't considered very precious. However, considering that the luminous stone came from the deepest underground cave in the Blue Moon's secret realm, it was considered a rather commemorative jade stone. Therefore, he didn't throw it away, but kept it in his storage ear. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.